Welcome back to another FPL deadline stream for Gameweek 36. The clock is ticking for the season. You can see the timer until the deadline, 2 hours and a half basically. And my final score for Gameweek 35 was 82 points. Petrovic with an 11-pointer across both games in Gameweek 35. Cole Palmer got an FPL assist and he was my captain, so 8 points turned into 16. And Nicholas Jackson scored against Tottenham for the 5th time this season, whilst Heung-min Son and Pedro Porro blanked. So overall, Gameweek 35 has been decent. I have gone up for, what, 4,000 places to 150k, so pretty decent stuff. And now we've got just 3 game weeks left, and I've got the bench boost in my back pocket to use in double game week 37 with 14 doublers. So getting into the top 100k is possible for the first time this season, and hopefully I can stay there until the end. But let's not get carried away because there's still game week 36 to go, and I've got some big benching dilemmas as I'll show you very soon. But Haaland came on for Foden for me. I benched Dalot, Edison and Gabriel, so overall no problems there whatsoever with bench points, but disappointments with Maguire, Burn and also Pedro Porro. He was a complete disappointment in this double game week, but as I mentioned, the Spurs players are really there for double game week 37 and game week 38. I don't think I'm going to buy a third one though, but we'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. Let's get straight into your comments as always, and thank you to those that are tuning in already. The plan is to gift memberships today, potentially up to 10, so keep your eyes peeled for that. It will be randomly allocated, and good luck in terms of getting that, and you'll get early access to my videos if you become a channel member or a patron. So JP says, hi Dylan, how do I pick between KDB or Foden? Well, KDB has the better form per se, but Phil Foden, whenever he does get that start and there's no illness or injury, he's been fantastic as well. I personally prefer Foden because of budget and also his consistency over the course of the season. Whenever he's fit and available, he starts for Man City. You can't say the same thing about Kevin De Bruyne, but I personally think both of them will start every single game left. I think with KDB though, there is that kind of doubt. Maybe he's benched in one of those matches, but with Foden, I have none of those concerns whatsoever. I personally would go for Foden, but in terms of the captaincy this week, I think those two are probably the top 2 picks, as I'll get onto very soon. Football fan says, should I buy an Arsenal defender? Specifically only for this game week, my current defence is Borro, Romero, Botman, Maguire. I probably would, to be fair. Your defensive line definitely needs improvement for this week only. I do like the Spurs duo for game week 37 and 38, but I would try to improve that if possible. So Gabriel, Saliba, White, take your pick from those 3. And even if for those that are able to get 2, I think you're going to enjoy the points soon. Maybe not in 36, but there is that other home game in 38, which looks very promising as well. Alex says, hi Dylan, I have Hall and Branthwaite, both with great fixtures on the bench. The only way I can put them in is for Wissa or Watkins because I have an Arsenal defender, a double up, and Gvardiol. Don't bench Watkins, no matter what you do. Brighton are all over the place. They've got multiple injuries. They haven't won since game week 28, if I'm not mistaken. They are looking in very bad shape right now. And Watkins scored a hat-trick and got 2 assists against them earlier this season. So no matter what you do, start Watkins. If I were to bench one of those players, it would be Wissa. But I'll be honest, Branthwaite away to Luton Town, I'm not really expecting a clean sheet. And as for Hall, I'd be a bit more tempted by that potentially. But I think you just start Wissa and Watkins. But no matter what you do, start Ollie Watkins. Bench Boost 37 says the fantasy football lad with his team. Suggestions? I mean, it's a good squad. Your goalkeepers might be, it's not the most comfortable situation, let's put it that way. Edison could be back though for the Wolves game. Pep gave a very positive update today. I think you roll the transfer for now and have 2 free transfers in Game Week 37. I think you don't need to make a transfer this week. Who would you bench, Son or Fernandes? Very tricky one. I would personally look to bench Son at the moment between those 2. Bruno Fernandes is in great form, whilst Heung-min Son has been anonymous in the North London derby against Newcastle and again against Chelsea. Should I transfer out Edison? I wouldn't if you have a decent backup goalkeeper. My original plan was to buy Ortega or Edison, but as the last few days have proven, it might be a wasted transfer. I think for a lot of people, try to roll and have 2 free transfers in Game Week 37. But yeah, it depends on your backup goalkeeper. If you've got an option who's an injury out or he's not going to play, in that case, it might be worth transferring Edison out, but I try to keep him if possible. Zenzone says, afternoon Dylan, Petrovic, Branthwaite, Gvardiol, White, Son, Palmer, Gordon, Foden, Haaland captain. Watkins, Isak, bench, Anana, Dalot, Borro, Johnson. Anything you change, 0.6 million in the bank, bench boost 37. Once again, solid team. I think you could easily roll this week. I think having 2 free transfers for Gameweek 37 bench boosters is very useful, and it might, let's say for example you have a few injuries, and you have to make a few transfers. You could easily make 3 transfers for a -4 hit in that scenario by rolling this week. So I think you're pretty well set up. You don't need to make a transfer. Your bench is also quite stacked. Cylindra says, hey Dylan, do you think I should sell Tony, Edison and a doggy to Haaland, Petrovic and Nana and Dalot, Maguire for -8? Then I will bench Cucurella and play 1 Chelsea United defender each. Or Edison and Tony to Anana, Petrovic, double Chelsea defence and Haaland for a -4, bench boost in Gameweek 37. I'd probably go for the last option, but really with Edison, if possible, I'd look to keep him. That's something that has changed since the Tuesday when I recorded the Trans Tips video and podcast. But yeah, I wouldn't take a -8 here. I'd probably go for the -4 there. Diogo says, start Branthwaite or Robertson. I feel more inclined to go Branthwaite because of effective ownership. Yeah, but Robertson's won't be that high either. Just with the form they're in, Everton have been keeping a lot of clean sheets. I'd probably go in that direction, but it wasn't too long ago they conceded 6 to Chelsea. It was about 2 weeks ago, actually. So time does fly. But yeah, I look at both games. I think Tottenham and Luton will score. And then Robertson has more attacking potential, generally speaking. I'd probably go for Branthwaite, though. I think there's a better chance of a clean sheet. Just bear in mind that Everton are safe. So the motivation, maybe their defensive structure will be a bit more open now. I don't think they really have that motivation to get those clean sheets like they have done against the likes of Forest and Liverpool. Dave says, how's it, Dylan, mate? Loving the tunes as always. Thank you very much. It's all good. What about you? Welcome, Courage. Good to see you as well. Team is Raya, 8 Nuri, Trent, White, Palmer, Bruno, Salah, Havertz, Cunha, Solanke, and Mateta. Bench is Neto, Eze, Virgil, Anderson. Got 1 free transfer and bench boost tips. I think the weakest part is your defensive line. 8 Nuri is decent in Gameweek 37 against Palace at home, but I don't see Wolves keeping a clean sheet, especially this week against Man City away. And 8 Nuri is an injured out regardless, so I would sell 8 Nuri if possible. Virgil van Dijk is another one who's an injured out, so it actually might benefit you to sell Van Dijk instead, bench 8 Nuri for this week, and then make another defender transfer for Gameweek 37. So you have Trent and White already. So yeah, I think I would go for a Gvardiol, maybe a Spurs defender, United defender. The options don't look great, if I'm being quite honest, but I would make a defender move and sell Virgil van Dijk or 8 Nuri and look to optimize that bench boost for Gameweek 37. Yeah, you're flexible with cash, that's fair enough. Either way, I think Van Dijk and 8 Nuri are sells, so it doesn't really change much of what I said, I think, so I'm going to stick with that. Question bench 1, says Dr. Waleed. Isak, Watkins, Haaland, KDB, Foden, Saka, Palmer, and Son. I'd probably bench Son from those options based on the fact that his form is very poor. And I think Liverpool will be right up for this game. I actually think they're going to win quite comprehensively. And that could be 4 losses in a row for Tottenham Hotspur. And the way that Liverpool play, there will be chances for Son and co. But I think from those options you mentioned, it has to be Son to be benched. But it's a very difficult one. B-Ball Checkmate says, would you sell Salah, Saka to get Son for Gameweek 37 for a -4? I'd sell Salah based on current form, but if he starts against Tottenham, which I think he will, he's got a great chance of returns. So that's where there's a bit of a caveat. It's not completely ideal, despite the recent form for Salah as well. But if I had to pick, it'd be Salah out, and I'd keep Bukayo Saka. Good to see you, Ahmed, as well. Play Doughty or sell him for Gvardiol or Burn. I'd sell Doughty, and I said this back in Gameweek 30, and I made a mistake buying him for double Gameweek 28. He got me 1 assist in that double, but he's been pretty useless since then. I would probably go to Gvardiol if possible. Edison's yellow flag has been removed. Yeah, so let's actually go through some updates. That will probably help a little bit as well. So let's start off with Newcastle. I saw this in the morning. So Eddie Howe has revealed that Fabian Schär's season is likely over due to a hamstring issue. Joelinton, Pope and Almiron have trained, and a late call will be made on their availability. Trippier hopes to return to training next week for double Gameweek 37, but Fabian Schär gave a interview, I think, to the Swiss press, and he said he's hoping to be back for one of those games by the end of the season, and there's no concerns about the Euros for him. So I don't know, you can't trust Eddie Howe fully in press conferences, we've all learned that, but Eddie Howe said that his season, Fabian Schär's season, is over. let's go to the other news. I'm going to kind of quickly round them off. I know some people might ask questions later. I try to summarize as best as possible, but for the sake of, repetition, not really going over the same things, I will try to keep that in mind. So Arsenal have a fully fit squad for the first time this season, as Jurriën Timber is ready to be in the squad against Bournemouth tomorrow afternoon. As for Fulham, Marcus Silva revealed everyone is fit bar Harrison Reed. A late call will be made on him. Adebayo isn't injured but was omitted from the matchday squad last weekend amid speculation on his future. By the way, no, I completely butchered that name. I will call him Tosin for the sake of it. Bournemouth, meanwhile, Irola says that there's good news of Semenyo and he should be in the Arsenal squad. Billing, Favre and Zabani are set to return as well. Kirkes is suspended for 2 more matches. As for Man City, Diaz and Foden are back after the recent illness, and as for Ederson, he's back in training and feels good after a shoulder concern at Nottingham Forest, but that's a few times this season now that Ederson has felt something and come off due to that injury, so that is concerning for Ederson owners going into double game week 37. As for Postecoglou, no fresh injury concerns from the Chelsea game, but remember, just before that, Werner, Davis, Udogie, Solomon, Forster and Sessegnon are out for the season, and the likes of Werner and Davis picked up that injury, or those injuries, in the North London derby. As for Sheffield United, McAtee is fit and available for Game Week 36. Brewster, Davis and Norrington Davis are desperate to come back, but Wilder will be sensible. Baldock, Lowe, McBurney, Basham and Egan remain out. There's a lot of news coming in today, of course. Liverpool, Virgil van Dijk is a doubt for Game Week 36, and the situation between Klopp and Salah is completely fine. Bradley is back in training and Jota isn't. And all of this is also credit to Fantasy Football Scout, who have compiled all of these injury updates. Anything else we've got here? And after that, I'll go back to your questions. Yeah, with Pochettino. So he suggested that Colwill and Nkunku would return for West Ham. James, Sanchez and Sterling were partially training pre-Spurs. No updates on Malo Gusto. And I think that's pretty much it. Then we've got Glasner from Crystal Palace confirming that Eze and Gay are fit. They will be in the squad for Game Week 36. Will they start? I think so, but it's not a guarantee. With Gary O'Neill, Pedro Neto, Bueno and Jean Rigner, Bellegarde have all been back in training this week and are available for selection. Dawson and Churumi are out for the season. Doyle can't play against his parent club, and Ait Nuri wasn't mentioned whatsoever. As for Brighton, so many injury concerns. Adam Lallana is now an injury doubt. He's actually going to be out for this week, and he joins Estupinian, Ferguson, Hinselwood, March and Matoma. And then you've got Milner, Lamptey and Van Heck. There's no timescale on their returns, but Van Heck is expected to miss out the rest of the season. Then David Moyes. We have so far seen no updates on Mavropanos or Agurd. Both remained out last weekend, despite Moyes saying that the former had a chance of facing Liverpool ahead of that game. As for Brentford, Rico Henry, Josh Da Silva, Ben Mee and Aaron Hickey remain out. Malpai is available again, and he wasn't able to play last week against Everton, his parent club. Martinez will be assessed after training today and could be available according to Emery. Zaniolo returned to action last night, whilst Mings, Buendia, Kamara and Ramsey are long-term absentees. Jacob Ramsey's picked up a lot of injury problems this season. But there you go. That's all the updates that you need to know about. Smash the like button and subscribe for new. I'm going to go back to your questions briefly, and then I'll show you some different screens as I tend to do. Welcome, Soldier Boy. Prince Izzy says, hey Dylan, bench Son or Diaz? Tricky one. I typically would go for Son, as in starting him, but Diaz has been in far better form in the last month or two. I'd probably still go for Son and bench Diaz, but that could definitely backfire. And I believe Diaz has scored against Tottenham in the past. Of course, there was that goal he scored in the reverse fixture, which was wrongfully ruled out. Have Havertz, Foden and Palmer. Yeah, I'd definitely start those three. So between those, I'd personally bench Diaz, but based on form, it's very risky. Bruno, Son, Mateta, 2 to start. Wow, that's a really tricky one. I think I would go for Son and Mateta and bench Bruno. You know what? Based on form, I mean, it's such a difficult line to find. I think I'd start Bruno over Son and bench Heung-min Son there. Thank you for the super chat. Let me just get this up. So thank you to Ahmed, massively appreciated. So 1, should I transfer Saka out for Foden this game week or wait until the doubles? I'd wait until the doubles. Number 2, triple City with KDB, Foden, Haaland combo, or grab Gavardio with Gordon in with Haaland and Foden for double game week 37. Oof, I think it all depends on who your other defender would be if you were to go for KDB, Foden, Haaland. If you're happy with the defense you would go for, in that case, that's the best City triple up, that's for sure. It's got the highest ceiling. I think Gavardio is likely to be benched in one of the games coming up, probably in Game Week 37. So if you're asking me for number 2, I triple up with KDB, Foden and Haaland if possible, but I'm just wondering who your defender would be in that scenario. Darwin or Isak to start, I'd go for Isak. Salah and Mbeumo to KDB and Gordon this game week. Havertz and Bradley to Foden and Bodder with bench boost and a -8. Yeah, it looks pretty sound. I think if Salah starts against Tottenham, he's got a great chance of hauling, but overall, good transfers. They're well thought out. Thank you, Jay, as always. I'm going to just go back up the chat a little bit and see if I can whiz through some of these questions. Raman says, hey, Dylan, hope you're doing well. Thoughts on Foden captaincy? Well, nice segue. That is currently what I'm going for. I talked about it in my team selection. I don't think I'm going to change it unless before the deadline we see a leak or something that says that Foden isn't going to start, but I highly doubt that. I'm going to go for Foden, I think, as my captain. Palmer's my vice. And for those asking about differential captains, I think Foden is technically one of them, but the biggest one for me is Kevin De Bruyne. If you want a differential captain, I think the Belgian could be fantastic this week. I also like Saka and Havertz. I don't think Saka will be necessarily a differential captain, but I don't think he's template either. But I'd say De Bruyne or Havertz would really pique my interest, and I'm currently going for Phil Foden. Haaland will be the template pick. Cole Palmer would also be up there based on the incredible season he's having. But as you can see, a few changes from my team selection. So the current plan is to keep Ederson, and actually if I refresh this, Ederson is now no longer yellow flagged. That's a comment I saw, so thank you to the user who brought that to my attention. So Ederson is in goal for me with Petrovic as the backup. I think I'm pretty well set there. I'm just hoping that Ederson doesn't start and comes off due to an injury. Burn, Maguire and Gabriel as my backline. I think Maguire is by far the biggest weak link I have. I've gone for Palmer, Son, Foden and Bruno Fernandes with Haaland, Isak and Jackson up front. Gordon is first on my bench, but I'm actually thinking about starting him over one of Jackson or Bruno Fernandes. Dallo and Pedro Porro complete my bench. And as I said earlier, Palmer's my vice and Phil Foden is currently my captain. Let me actually go through some different screens now before going back to your questions again. So thank you, Raman. I think Foden's a great captaincy option, of course, and I've talked about it all week. So the FDR, only 3 game weeks left, and this is how we're looking like. So Brighton are top, but I have to say, do you expect clean sheets in any of those games? No, I personally don't. Do I think Brighton will win any of those games? Potentially one, but I don't know. With their current form, it's looking pretty bleak for them. Man City, Chelsea, Spurs and Newcastle are in the top 5 for the fixture difficulty rating. If we look at the bottom 5, we've got Wolves, Aston Villa, West Ham, Fulham and Bournemouth. So some interesting names in there. Arsenal and Liverpool are mid-table. As for predicted points, Haaland is top with 8.2. Salah, Foden, Palmer and De Bruyne complete the top 5. I have to say, a pretty solid top 5 list. I'd also maybe put a Saka or Havertz in there, but you can't really argue with those 5 players. Saka is 6th. Then we've got Eze, Isak, Tony and Havertz all in the top 10. So a lot of emphasis on Man City players. We've got a few Arsenal in there as well, but Man City heavily favoured against Wolverhampton Wanderers. If we now look at the price changes we could see tonight, Palmer, Trent, Haaland, Isak, Gvardiol and De Bruyne could all go up in price. As for Soucek, Salah, Aït-Nouri, Eze, Sarabia, Van Dijk, Gusto, Cunha, Emerson, Gomez, Chukwuemeka, Bell, Osula, Udogie, McTominay, Emi Martinez, Darwin Núñez, Richarlison and Solanke, all of them could go down in price tonight, but if not, I'd say in the next couple of days or so. Let's now look at Drafthound, and they're still recommending the same moves as the other day during my team selection video and podcast, and they have changed something though in terms of the optimization tool. They recommend to start Haaland and to captain him, and they put Heung-min Son on the bench, which is quite interesting. The same backline, they've gone for Petrovic in goal over Ederson, but that's mainly based on the fact that Ederson was flagged. They will update this very soon, but There is no guarantee Ederson starts still, especially if there's a risk of that injury being aggravated. But it seems all in the clear. He is in training, so good news there for Manchester City. I put a captaincy poll out just, a couple of hours ago, and 57% have gone for Haaland. In second is Foden with 23%. Palmer is third with 13%. And Saka is last with only 7%. So maybe Saka could be a great differential captain. I have to say that. And as I mentioned earlier, for me, Kevin De Bruyne would be my favourite overall. Let's now go to the stats comparison of two of the best captaincy options this week, Foden and Palmer. And Palmer leads in many of these metrics, if not pretty much all of the main ones. Shots, they've got exactly the same. 2 more shots on target for Palmer, 4 more goals, 4 more FPL assists, 1 more big chance created, 7 more big chances, and only key passes is in Phil Foden's favour, and expected assists, but the margin isn't that big. More shots in the box as well, to be fair, for Foden, but as you can see, Palmer with incredible stats for a midfielder who started the season at only 5 million in price. And a quick preview of my Gameweek 37 bench boost team. And if Ederson is still a bit of a concern going into double Gameweek 37, I would be looking to sell him to Onana and one of Maguire or Dalot to Gvardiol. It's very sideways, which I do recognise. So if Ederson is fit, I might be able to focus my efforts on Gabriel to a double Gameweek defender and then have 2 free transfers in Gameweek 38 and then bring Gabriel back alongside a Saka and take no hits in the process. So my preference would be to roll the transfer in 36, use 1 free transfer in 37, and then bring Gabriel back for the last game of the season. The expected points in this scenario would be 136.9. It would be lower though if I add Ederson because he has still got 0 expected points for the rest of the season, but that will certainly change with all these algorithms. Let's now go back to my FPL team, and all of that is pretty much covered. We don't need to go through some of this again, but be sure to let me know your thoughts down the comment section below. And yeah, everything in terms of injuries was covered a couple of minutes ago. Be sure to rewind if you want to just be up to date with any of these teams and their injury updates, the ones from today's press conferences. And let's get straight back into your questions for the next few hours. We've still got 2 hours, 5 minutes until the deadline. JP says, who will get more minutes, Barnes or Wilson? I think Barnes, but that's a great question. I think they're also great differentials. I personally think Callum Wilson will get more goals off the bench. He's done it so many times this season and in previous campaigns. Yeah, Stephen, so with Van Heck, I covered all the injury updates and it looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season. That's something I saw in, the 30th of April. I saw an update about that, and Van Heck is very unlikely to feature again this season. Is Fernandes on track to play? Yes, Ten Hag said it himself that Fernandes picked up a small problem, but you can never rule him out of any game. I personally think he's going to play. Son or Wissa, says Alex. I would personally go for Son. Hi Dylan, Bruno Fernandes to De Bruyne since I don't have Haaland. I don't mind that for this week, to be fair, but I like Bruno Fernandes a lot for Gameweek 37 and even Gameweek 38. Start Son or Jackson. I think I'd go for Son in this case. Any news on City lineup? No. I doubt we're going to get that, to be fair. Sell Salah. I know, look, I've talked about selling him in the last couple of weeks, but if he starts against Tottenham at home, I really back him to do well. It could be a massive differential for you. I'd only sell Salah to the likes of De Bruyne, Foden, Saka, I'd say so for this week. Apart from that, I think I'd keep Salah for this week and then sell him in 37. Solanke to Watkins or Diaz to Saka? Wow, that's a great question. My personal preference would be Solanke to Watkins. I think Diaz could do well against Tottenham. I think Palmer's a good shout this week. Yeah, of course he's always a good shout in any given game week, to be fair, unless he's against Man City away or Arsenal away, but I completely agree. He's my vice at the moment. I think I'm more likely to captain Palmer than Haaland, and of course you can see that from the vice captaincy, but yeah, I saw a few people kind of question and say, oh, you're going to captain Haaland in the end. We'll see. Hey Dylan, my defence is Gusto, Adogi, Van Heck, Cher and Aït-Nouri, all injured. Don't know what to do now. It might be worth taking a -4 hit if you're bench boosting in 37, but I would make a transfer in that position. Thank you, Keith, for moderating the chat. Massively appreciated. Hey Dylan, I'm back. So thoughts on Aït-Nouri? I think he's a sell regardless. I don't think Wolves keep a clean sheet against Liverpool away, against Man City away, or against Crystal Palace at home, their remaining fixtures. So I'd personally look to sell him if possible. Thank you, Ray, for the super chat. I only just saw this. Sonny or Bruno? I'd probably go for Bruno, as I mentioned earlier. I think he's going to start, and Son's form is very concerning. So I'd go for Bruno Fernandes. As for Maguire or Borro, I'm going to go for Maguire there. I think United have a much better chance of a clean sheet, but if I'm being honest, I personally think Palace and Liverpool score. So if that were to be the case, then you look at attacking potential, and Borro is still slightly better, but I'm going to go for the clean sheet chances and back Maguire. No top 10k for me this season, alas. Can't wait for next season already. Well, you're still at a very good rank though, Beardy, and you never know. You never know. If you've got, I don't think you've got a chip left, but if you did have one, obviously be sure to confirm that. That would be massive, but yeah, Gameweek Phase 7 will be a huge one. Welcome, Simo. Good afternoon, Dylan. Would you sell Bradley to Gvardiol and Nuri or Gusto to White, but I have Gabriel? I don't think that's a big concern, only against United away, where I think Arsenal are likely to concede. But I think from those options you mentioned, I have to say I'd probably go to Gvardiol simply for the double, but I think all City defenders are rotation risks, and it's very hard to nail down that exact defender who'll start all the remaining 4 games. Start Borro or take a -4 to do Van Heck to White? I think I would probably take the -4 here if you want Ben White anyway for the last game of the season and you want him against Man United away for Gameweek Phase 7. Can you give your honest opinion on who is the better captain between Foden and De Bruyne? I'd still slightly favour Foden based on the consistency we've seen all season. De Bruyne, I don't know. There is more of a chance of him being benched in my opinion. But look, De Bruyne for me is my favourite differential captain, as I mentioned to people before. But I think I'd rank it Foden first, De Bruyne second, maybe Palmer third, Saka fourth, and then Haaland fifth. But there are also some other great names in there that might deserve more attention, like an Isak, a Kai Havertz. But yeah, I think I'd put Foden in first place. The consistency is the main reason why. Triple captain Gameweek Phase 6 or 38? Oof, difficult one. Very difficult one. I'd be tempted to use it now, but honestly, it can go either way. Whether you captain Haaland at home to West Ham or you do it this week against Wolves, but I'd be very tempted by Foden or De Bruyne, a Saka, a Palmer, and do it this week. Even Salah, to be honest, I didn't mention him, but I think if he starts against Tottenham, he's going to return. I'm very confident on that. Should I sell Neto to Onana or Petrovic? Double Chelsea defence. I have Edison as my keeper, don't have a backup. Bench boost in 37. I would rather go for Onana, assuming you don't have a United defender already. Petrovic obviously did very well this week, but I still think Onana looks decent. I mean, it's a tricky one because you look at this week, I think Onana is better than Petrovic, but you could argue Chelsea's double is better in 37 and their fixture in 38. So it's quite tricky actually, but based on the balance and Onana's saves potential, I'd go for him. Why Gordon on the bench? Well, I've done this all season. I've started Gordon at home, benched him away. I've never had any issues, but I did say earlier I might start him in the end because it's Burnley away. He has a good record against newly promoted clubs. This is not set in stone. I have to make that very clear. I checked my team for both bench boost 37 and 38, and on paper, bench boost 38 looks much better for me, but it's so risky. What are your thoughts? Well, I don't know your team, so it's difficult for me to judge exactly, but if you think it looks better and you're confident about it, back your gut, because let's say, for example, you bench boost in 37 and it kind of flops and your Gameweek 38 bench does really well, you'll be kind of kicking yourself about not following your instincts. But if it was the other way around, you can't really have too many regrets. So in my opinion, you have to back your gut, and if you think it's better in Gameweek 38, go against the crowd and do something differently there. Captain Haaland or Havertz, currently 35k, and I'm chasing top 10k. You can still get there with a so-called template captain, but it's a tricky one. I personally would go for Haaland over Havertz this week, but I don't think there's anything wrong with going for the German. The upside is there. He's in great form, the most goal contributions in this calendar year. I could definitely think of worse calls there, but I'd go for Haaland personally. My chips are all gone. Yeah, I'm happy overall with the season. I definitely would be in your situation, but you never know. That's all I'm going to say. Wildcard this week or next? I'd probably wildcard now, to be fair. Yeah, I think it's a tricky one because if you're happy with your team this week, then you could just make a case for saving it for next week. But Yeah, it's very late in the season. I used it very late, you know, last week, but yeah, I think gut feeling without knowing the context, I'd go for now. Start Wood or Gordon? I'd go for Gordon out of those two. Who to bench? Jackson, Isak, Mateta? Probably Jackson. Is Watkins a captain differential considering Brighton's poor form? He definitely is. Template captains would include Haaland and Palmer, in my opinion. Yeah, Watkins isn't going to be that. His effective ownership won't be that high. I think that's a great call, though. I really do. Hi, Dylan. Edison or Raya? I'd go for Raya. Just because of Edison, there's a chance that he comes off with another injury, and that's going to be a big concern. If you look at clean sheet chances, it's quite similar for me this week, but yeah, I'd go for Raya. Sub Eze or Solanke? I'd sub Solanke. Start Højlund or Garnacho? I'd start Højlund, but there's not much in it. Thank you, Sudindra. What do you think about Foden as a captain? I mean, you can literally see on screen. I've got him captain. I spoke about it a few minutes ago. I think it's a great option this week. Now, there's obviously a bit of concern because it's kind of been stop and start with Foden. Big haul, then he misses out due to an injury. Big haul, misses out due to illness. So you're kind of worried about maybe the momentum being broken a little bit, but I really think Foden could be a great option this week. And if I'm comparing him to De Bruyne, the consistency and the minutes and also the recovery time that Foden has would lean me more towards him than a Kevin De Bruyne. Thank you, Coopsy Coop. Too high for you, says Foden, Palmer, Son, Bruno, Gordon. Who to sell for this week to bring in Havertz or Saka? It's tricky because I'd personally say one of Son or Bruno, but you'd want them back for next week. That's the problem. You know what? If I had to pick one, and this transfer will stick for Gameweek 37, I'd say Anthony Gordon, actually. Eze, Bruno, Gordon, start 2. I would go for Bruno and probably Gordon. Start Bruno or Jackson. I'd go for Bruno. And best replacement for Cher, I already have Dallo, Petrovic, Branthwaite and Borro. I'd still consider an Arsenal defender, to be honest, one of Gabriel, White or Saliba, but otherwise you could consider... You've got Dallo already. I'd say Gvardiol or Walker to cover Man City's defence. What's the best Man City triple up? Ideally, it would be Foden, Haaland and De Bruyne. But if your team structure doesn't allow it, or you don't want to go too in on the attackers, I would replace De Bruyne with a Gvardiol or Walker in the backline. Wildcard, please. I made a video yesterday, so be sure to check that out. Of course, there's a few things like I mentioned in that video, and for most of that podcast, I talked about a bench boost team. For Gameweek 37, the wildcard is optimized for that. But at the end, I show a team for those that don't have the bench boost, and you can go for the likes of Havertz or Saka. So be sure to check that video out because it goes into much more detail than I can right now. Salah to Gordon and Solanke to Haaland, 2 free transfers. Yeah, overall, the upgrades, I think it's worth it, but I'm still a bit concerned about Salah. I think he's going to do very well this week against Tottenham. Best option for Van Heck. Around a similar price, I'd say Dan Burn or Maguire, but it all depends on your budget. If you can go to a more expensive defender, then I still think White, Saliba, Gabriel are the best options. Murillo or Burn, free hit 37. Burn for me. Isak as a differential captain, I'm not against it. I actually mentioned it earlier as well. He's not my favourite. He's not my top 5, but Isak has been quality this season. Burnley concede so many chances, and I think Isak is the best Newcastle asset for this game week. Thank you, Courage. You're so quick when it comes to answering our questions, but once it's the other way around, you start sweating. Oh, right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Bruno, Jackson, Son, Gordon. Who should I bench? I would probably bench Jackson from those 4. I mean, I say that I've currently got Gordon on my bench. In my team selection was the other way around. I've kind of switched it. I think I'm going to bring Gordon in eventually, to be honest. Should I get Burn or Gvardiol for Cher? I'd go for Gvardiol, but just bear in mind, with all Man City defenders, there's risk of rotation. Baldea says Eze to Foden or De Bruyne or Roll. I'd go to Foden, personally. I just think he's a safer pick for double Gameweek 37 and the other games in between. Mateta, good option for double to buy KDB? So it depends, because for Gameweek 37 specifically, I'm not a big fan of Crystal Palace assets, but Mateta, you saw what he could do in double Gameweek 34, a legendary performance. I'm very happy I bought him in that game week, but yeah, if that's your only way of buying De Bruyne and you really want De Bruyne, I'm not really against that, but It just depends on your situation. Do you have the bench boost? Do you need Mateta for Gameweek 37? Because otherwise, I'd reconsider maybe Joao Pedro, who's got a double next week. Bruno and KDB or Foden and KDB? It's Foden for me. I'd still go for Foden over Bruno. And for me, Foden's better than Kevin De Bruyne as well. Backline of Walker, Gabriel, Maguire, Borrocher to White or Burn. I'd personally go to... I think I'd go to Ben White, to be honest. It might not be better for Gameweek 37, but for Gameweek 36 and 38, I think Arsenal have a better chance of a clean sheet than Newcastle. So, yeah. You do have Ryan goal, to be fair, actually. But I think a trip up in Arsenal defensively could be massive. It really could. But it also prevents you from going for a sack or Havertz in the final game of the season. You know what? I'm going to go to Burn because you have Ryan goal. That's what swung it the other way for me. Planning to bench boost in 37, 8 Nuri, Gusto to Maguire, White, and Cucurella or roll the transfer. Got Van Heck as well with Gabriel Van de Ven. Yeah, I think your defensive line needs some improvement there, and so does mine. I would go to the likes of Maguire and White if possible. So, yeah, you don't have to do both this week, but maybe one in Gameweek 36. I'd get Ben White if possible, and then buy Maguire next week. Murillo or Gvardiol, like I mentioned, Gvardiol for me. Will Cher start? He's probably out for the rest of the season. Now, Fabian Cher said he is hoping to be back and play one game for Newcastle, but Eddie Howe said he's gonna be out for the rest of the season. So you can't really trust Eddie Howe, but you would assume he's out for Gameweek 36 and 37. So the answer is no. Who should I bench? Bruno, Jackson, Son, Gordon. A lot of similar questions, a lot of similar attacks, of course, in the wildcard. I'd personally bench Jackson from those four. Bruno to Havertz need to catch up in my mini league. I like that as a one game punt, but Bruno Fernandes in 37, I think is a great option in the midfield. I really do. And I think Bruno outscores Havertz comfortably in that double. So if you can do a switcheroo, buy Havertz, then buy Bruno back, and then maybe buy Havertz again for Gameweek 38, that could actually work out quite well, but it's not ideal. Bruno news, nothing new from the other day. I think it was actually yesterday when Ten Hag provided an update. Let me get the latest quotes to... I don't want to paraphrase, basically. So, this is what Ten Hag said yesterday. We had an issue with Bruno, so he has a doubt for Monday, but he will fight to be a part of this game. Never rule him out of any game, and he is giving his best to be available. I personally think he's going to be fine. It's down to a late fitness test, and I personally would back him to start. Be sure to smash the like button if you haven't already. Let's get this stream to 100 likes nice and early. Thank you to those that sent in super chats already, and to all subscribers and patrons. And by the way, I'm going to be gifting 5 memberships very soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And I might gift another 5 memberships towards the end of this stream for those that stick around after the deadline. So a massive thank you to those that support the channel and help us keep growing. Our next aim is to get to 25,000 subscribers. So we'll go back to your questions. We'll keep answering them. Obviously, that's what we always do in the deadline streams. And yeah, we've covered all the stats and things you need to know. What Drafthound are saying, Fantasy Football Hub, and FPL.Team as well. Is a -4 worth it for Gabriel and Livramento to take out Cher and Bradley? I also have 8 Nuri and Gusto. I wouldn't... Oh, for Gabriel and Livramento. I think it is worth a -4 hit because you've also got Gusto and 8 Nuri who are injury doubts. Gusto is probably out for Gameweek 36, and I don't see him starting both games in 37. So, yeah, your defense needs some improvement, and I would take a hit, I think. Would you swap Son for KDB? For this week only, yes, I definitely would, but I'd want Son back for Gameweek 37 and 38, to be honest. And I think you outscore Kevin De Bruyne in those 2 game weeks. But if you can buy KDB this week and then buy Son back, I think, yeah, go ahead and do it. Best goalkeeper for the rest of the season, Dylan? I think it's between Raya, Petrovic, and Onana. I'm going to go for Petrovic just for the double. Derek says 1 free transfer, Solanke to Isak or Son to KDB. I would go Solanke to Isak. As much as I like De Bruyne, especially this week, I think Isak is a better upgrade at the moment. Alfred69 says, hi mate, bench 1 of Mateta, Foden or Son. Don't bench Foden. no matter what you do, is between Mateta and Son, and I personally bench Son. My budget for Van Heck is Emerson Royale. Is he a good choice? I don't think so, but Spurs are, down to the bare bones right now. They've got no Ben Davis, no Udogie, so Emerson Royale should play the rest of the games, but they could actually do something where Mickey van der Ven goes left back and then they put Dragusin next to Romero, especially if they continue conceding these set pieces and looking so shaky at the back. But I personally think Emerson Royale will start every game. A clean sheet against Burnley and Sheffield United is possible, but yeah, I don't like Emerson Royale per se. Pedro Porro or Romero to cover that Spurs defence is probably the best way to go about it. Hey Dylan, when to play triple captain? Yeah, Haaland's a good call this week. He's in pretty good form actually, looks very sharp. It depends, because if you've got the bench boost for 37, then fair enough, but if you don't, I'd use the triple captaincy there on a double Gameweek player. Should I do Bruno to Havertz? Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I'd only do it if you can buy Bruno back in 37. Petrovic or Raya? Petrovic, I'm going to stick with that. Now, it depends on the context of your question, because someone asked me who's the best goalkeeper until the end of the season, and I said Petrovic for the double, but for this week only, I'm going to go for Raya. Should I take a -8 for Darwin and Van Dijk to Haaland and Burn? Yeah, I would. Jamie says, hi Dylan, good to see you. Pick 2, Haaland, Isak. I'll transfer in Jesus, Watkins. I'm going to go for Haaland and Isak, as much as I like Watkins. Because of the double in 37, I'm going to go for the first 2 there. Yeah, selling Jesus is probably the best thing you can do. The Fantasy Football Lad says, I have Cher and Gusto. Should I transfer out one of them? Gusto, probably out for Gameweek 36. Cher, potentially out for the rest of the season. I'd look to sell Cher. His injury seems a bit more serious, or at least we know a bit more about it. Unless Eddie Howe is a pathological liar, which I hope he isn't. I'd sell Cher, and who would I buy? So you've got Gabriel, Dalot, and Van der Ven. Yeah, I'd definitely make a defender transfer there and bench the Spurs one. So I would probably recommend going for a Gvardiol or a second Arsenal defender. So I'd say one of White, Saliba, or Gvardiol, and bench Van der Ven. Bench Son or Diaz? I think I'd bench Diaz, but he's in better form than Son. There's no doubt about that. Havertz or Son? This week, Havertz. Yeah. Borra or Reguilon for this game week? Reguilon. Bench Madueke or Joao Pedro? I think I'd bench Madueke, but that's a close call. Matt's Collectibles puts his team. So Van Dijk to Burn and Watkins to Haaland for a -4. Yeah, I think so. I don't really see anything going wrong there. Van Dijk is a doubt for this weekend, and even if he starts, I think Tottenham score. Ratchet says, hey Dylan, would you transfer out Salah, Maddison, Neto and Solanke for Gordon, De Bruyne, Petrovic and Haaland, -12 to get ready for bench boost 37? I see what you're doing, but -12, I mean, I tried to trim that down. I'd personally keep Salah. Selling Maddison, Neto, Solanke for a -8, you know what, fair enough. I'm not a big fan of a goalkeeper hit, but Petrovic has the double, good fixtures overall, so yeah. I would personally make all transfers except Salah to De Bruyne, and I just stick to a -8 hit. That's my personal take. I might be wrong. Back your gut on that one, but I really back Salah this week if he starts, which is the main question. He might not start, and I might be completely wrong. Walker or Gvardiol? Gvardiol just about, but I think both of them are rotation risks. Son out and Saka Havertz in, then get Son back in 37. Yeah, absolutely spot on. I like that. Thank you, Aviad. Great live. Chip defender. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that. In terms of the best double gaming defenders for next week, be sure to clarify, by the way. I want to answer your question. I'd say the best double gaming defenders are probably Gvardiol. I'm not even going to say Maguire. I mean, in terms of his price and below, fair enough, but I'd say Gvardiol or Walker. Flecken or Dubravka? I would go for Dubravka this week. Garnacho or Gordon, bench 1. I would bench Garnacho. I think Palace is a more difficult game than Burnley. Yeah, I think Bruno Fernandes plays. I'm very confident about that, actually. Choose 3, Son, Foden, De Bruyne, Gordon. For this week only, I'd bench Son and go for Foden, De Bruyne, Gordon. I think so. It's a difficult one, actually. I mean, I'd definitely start Foden, De Bruyne no matter what you do. For the others, though, I think it's very difficult. Gordon's away form, Son's fixture and form. Yeah, I think I'd probably bench Gordon just about, but I'm going to reconsider that myself, to be honest. Bench Burn or Dallo? I would bench Dallo. Sell Saka for Foden or wait till next game week? No, I'll wait until next game week. Also play Munoz or bring in a City defender instead? I'd bring in a City defender. Diaz to Gordon or Kai, or 8 Nuri to Ben White? I do 8 Nuri to Ben White. I think Diaz can perform very well against Liverpool. Against Spurs. I mean, if he performs well against Liverpool, that might mean an own goal. Yeah, I think Liverpool Spurs is going to be very high scoring. My current prediction is actually 3-1 Liverpool, but I'm tempted to say 4-1. I really think both teams are going to score, create a lot of chances. So yeah, I do like the Diaz Gordon Kai pick. It's good, but I'd do 8 Nuri to Ben White. Gordon and Isak over Bruno this week. Isak, yes. Gordon, maybe not. João Pedro over Fernandes. I'd start Fernandes, but it's not a bad shout. Villa are quite poor defensively. Bench Son or Solanke? I'd bench Solanke. Captain Foden, that's what I'm going for right now. I'm not saying it's absolutely locked in. If I were to change, it's probably to Palmer. Is Walker more nailed than Gvardiol, Dylan? Not necessarily, no. Like I mentioned many times in the stream and also throughout the week, I don't think any C defender is guaranteed to start every single game left. Is Saka a buy this game week? If you're able to buy him and then buy a double game week midfielder instead of him in 37, yeah, I think that could work out quite well. My current plan is to buy him in 38. But yeah, for those with Saka, definite hold. Is he a buy? There might be better priorities who also help you in Game Week 37. So it all depends on the context of your team. But if you're in a position where you can buy him very easily and you don't need to take hits to make some moves in the midfield, I'd do it. I really would. Start Bruno or Gordon? Bruno. Good wildcard. Check out my video from yesterday. It's all covered there for bench boosters and non-bench boosters. Shavain says 3 out of my 5 defenders are flagged. Van Dijk, Share, 8 Nuri, White, Robinson. Who should I buy, or do I improve the midfield attack? Well, I don't know what your midfield attack is, but your defensive line definitely needs some improvement there. Even if they weren't injured, I think Van Dijk, 8 Nuri, and Robinson could all be improved upon. So I would look to upgrade those defenders if possible. And I think Gvardiol or Walker, going for a Maguire or Dallo, would be just fine. And you've also got other options in the defensive line, but yeah, you're kind of limited. I'd say Dan Burn from Newcastle, but with all the injuries Newcastle have, I don't think a clean sheet is even that likely. Bring KDB, says Gaurav. I won't, but I think he is a good option, of course. Can you recommend 2 defenders for a -8? Well, one of White, Saliba, or Gabriel. I wouldn't even mind 2 of them. And I'd say one of Walker or Gvardiol. So I'd say White and Gvardiol to pick 2 and narrow it down. But yeah, Arsenal and City are probably what you want to go for. Hey Dylan, I had Edison, Shea, Gusto and Bruno after a wild card. What should I do? Well, with Edison, it's not a big deal. He's actually cleared at the moment. There's no flag, and he might play. Shea is probably out for the rest of the season. I think Bruno will start. As for Malo Gusto, not really too confident about him, especially for Game Week 37, but yeah, you should focus on Fabian Schär, sell him to a Burn or maybe an Arsenal defender, and then next week, if Gusto is still out, I'd offload him as well. Manish, Son, Eze, choose 2 to start, says Ildaric or Eldaric. I would go for Son and Eze. Captain Haaland, I'm not against it. He's in good form, but yeah, you've got alternatives in De Bruyne, Foden, Palmer, Saka, Havertz. There's a lot of options this week, in my opinion. Harry Peacock says, would you take a -8 hit to replace Maddison, Salah, and Rico Lewis for De Bruyne, Foden, and Burn? Yes, but one advice I'd give is to maybe keep Salah and not go for De Bruyne. That's something to consider. If you really want De Bruyne, then maybe don't go for Foden just yet. Ultimately, you know, doing Salah to De Bruyne or Foden will pay off, but I think for this week specifically, if Salah starts, it's a great option, and I'm not sure it's worth a hit to sell him. Is Cucurella nailed for this week and the double? I think if he is, he would be better than both White and Burn for the 2 weeks. He played very well yesterday. Probably man of the match. He's very inconsistent, of course, like most Chelsea players. I think he will start the rest of the games, at least until Game Week 38. I think he starts both in 37, so that's a good shout. I actually mentioned him on the previous wildcard videos and stuff. He scored that own goal against Villa, and people were saying, oh, you made a wrong call suggesting him, but you saw what he could do against Tottenham, so it's not a bad shout at all. If I had to pick a Chelsea defender, it would be him, but Petrovic is still my favourite Chelsea defensive coverage overall. Not for me, the Colombian. I'd go for Fernandes, but it's up to you. Harry's question is also answered. Gavardio to Romero to have 3 City attackers. Definitely not this week, no. I know what you're doing, and having De Bruyne, Foden, Haaland is a massive differential this week, but I think they could keep a clean sheet as well. You're buying Romero away to Liverpool, so unless you've got really good defensive coverage to come in for Romero, I'm not sure that's worth it this week. Since triple Spurs isn't the way to go, which team will you replace Gabriel with next week? That's not set in stone, by the way. So if I roll the transfer this week and I have no other fires to put out, I'm happy with my 15-man squad, I might sell Gabriel and, yeah, go to a defender. You're right about raising the question, who do I go to? Because I've got 3 Man City players already. I've got 3 United players already. Same with Chelsea. The options are quite limited, actually, if we're being honest. But I could go to Romero. I think Spurs will keep a clean sheet against Burnley or Sheffield United. And of course, they have those 2 games for the last 3 games of the season. But yeah, look, you say triple Spurs isn't the way. Yeah, it isn't right now. But I always said in the last couple of weeks, I've been consistent about it. The best time to load up on Spurs and have 2 or 3 is Gameweek 37 and 38. They have a great record against Man City as well. They've never lost there, actually. They haven't conceded a goal to Man City in that stadium in the Premier League. So, yeah, I actually don't think triple Spurs could be that bad in Gameweek 37 or 38. Jay says, hey, Dylan, start 2, Son, Bruno, and Gordon. Yeah, I would go for... I'm currently going for Son and Bruno. I'll stick with that for now. But I'm reconsidering Gordon. I'm going to try find a way to bring him into my starting 11. May and Man City playing against Wolves. The rest is history. May, I'm not sure what you mean. Just what, Man City performing well in May, maybe? Also the fact that Gary O'Neill got his suspension now when the Premier League had 4 games to do it. I mean, that's another advantage, but yeah. Thank you, Ruan. Hey, Dylan, very tempted by Son to KDB. What do you think? I would be too. But I'd highly recommend buying Son back for Gameweek 37 and 38. But he's in pretty poor form, so I don't mind that too much right now. Captain Palmer, yeah. I don't think he's going to be that much of a differential, though. Not sure about effective ownership. I won't even try guess that, but I don't think it'll be that low. I'm not against that, though. Palmer's my vice. If I were to change the captaincy, it probably would be to him. And I also would favour him over Haaland, so... if you're backing him to score the most points, go for it, for sure. Share to burn or play Dallo Borro? It's a good question. I'd personally play Dallo and roll the transfer and have more information for Gameweek 37. Should I take hits to upgrade my defence? A -4 maybe. I wouldn't be too excessive just yet because we could get fresh injuries going into 37 and there might be bigger fish to fry there as well. Jackson Petrovic killed my rank. Still 209k in Gameweek 33, 156k in Gameweek 34, now 81k. Well, yeah, it's still looking very good though, to be fair. AK says, hey Dylan, I missed the deadline for the last Gameweek wildcard. Will there be a video on the wildcard? There already is. Obviously, I can't make a wildcard video now because I'm streaming. I can't, multitask like that, but there is a video out already on the channel for bench boosters and non-bench boosters. It's got the Kai Havertz thumbnail. Be sure to check that out. I pretty much upload wildcard videos and podcasts every single week. There might not be one for Gameweek 38, but I'll probably do one for Gameweek 37 as well. FPL chat says, hi Dylan, I need Haaland. Who would you sell out of Watkins, Isak and Mateta? If possible, it would be Mateta, and I'd have Watkins and Isak, but it all depends on your budget. I wonder about transferring out Petrovic and Maguire for Nana and Badiashile. Nah, there's no reason to do that. Petrovic is a better way of covering Chelsea defensively than Badiashile. As for Maguire and Nana, yes, I do concede that Nana is a better way of doing it, but Petrovic-Maguire is a better duo. Kadij says, hi Dylan, would you play Joao Pedro or take a hit to bring in KDB Foden and bench Joao Pedro? I take the hit and bench Joao Pedro personally, but I think both decisions have plus points for sure. Sell Son or Bruno for Foden? Not too sure about this. If I had to pick one, it's probably Son based on form, but not having Son for Gameweek 37 and 38 seems very risky. I'm kind of looking at this week as well. I'd personally sell Son out of those two, but I'd reconsider that. Yeah, Madueke, but the thing is, as an FPL asset, is he that good? I don't know. I think with Chelsea, you're kind of fine with Palmer. I'd say Petrovic, and that's about it. If you had a third one, Jackson also is more likely to get returns. Sell Son, Bruno for KDB. Yeah, I just covered that above. Is Van Heck out for the season? It looks like it. Start Petrovic or Onana. Yeah, if you've got Dalot starting, I mean, you could double up on United defensively, go all in, but I'd probably go for Petrovic in this case. Hi Dylan, do I bench Son, Garnacho or Højlund? I'd bench Garnacho. Is Vicario to Petrovic for free a good transfer? It's good for this week, but for Gameweek 37, I actually think Vicario is more likely to keep a clean sheet against Burnley. And then in the final game of the season, a better fixture for Tottenham, but both defences are poor. You know, they're both conceding around 60 goals this season. You can't really trust them. It depends on your backup goalkeeper, to be honest, Ruben. If you've got no one else, then maybe, but I think I'd just keep Vicario. Big headache between Gordon and Jackson. Who do you prefer? I'm currently going for Jackson, but Gordon away to Burnley. Despite the away thing, I really back Gordon. If he was ever to return in an away game, it would be now. Fancy Spurs taking points off City and Gunners clinching the crown? I wouldn't say I fancy it, but let me actually bring up the stats of what, 2 of the last times that Tottenham have played City. So back in November and December of last year, Tottenham lost 4-1 at home to Chelsea when their kind of downfall began. They lost 2-1 to Wolves and 2-1 to Aston Villa. Then they went to the Etihad and drew 3-3. Then they lost to West Ham 2-1. Then the year before that, Southampton beat Tottenham 3-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham lost yet again at home 2-0. But then they beat Man City 3-2 at the Etihad. Then against Burnley, they lost 1-0. So, in my opinion, it is possible. Of course, based on current form, you know, Spurs have to play much better than this to get anything, but it'd be kind of typical from them, really, to, you know, against Arsenal when they really wanted to turn up, to not do it, and then to drop points to Chelsea, to lose to them, pretty much have no hopes of the top 4, and then beat Man City to help their main rivals win the league. But Arsenal need to win their games first, which is a big ask, to be honest. KDB scored 4 against Wolves. He did, but different managers, different stadium, different circumstances. Captain Palmer or Foden? Probably Foden, but very close. Good to see you, Anchor. Nice to catch you. Would you start Pickford or Dubravka? Thanks. Very tricky one. I'd probably go for Pickford, but I personally think Luton Town and Burnley will score. Hopefully this isn't flickering too much. Yeah, that was a bit annoying. Would you do Van Dijk to Gvardiol, Solanke to Jackson, and Nunez to Haaland, chase and rank? All transfers look good to me, but I don't know how many hits this would be. -4, -8, -12. Yeah, that's what I'd be wondering about, but all transfers are upgrades. I'd do it. Does KDB start? I think so. Do I think he starts every single game until the end of the season? Probably not. I think he's benched in one of them. Use one transfer this game week or next game week 2 transfers according to your team except for Haaland instead Mateta. Unless you can do Mateta to Haaland or something like that, I'd probably roll. What do you think of this midfield? Well, I've got the same midfield. It's the template one from Gameweek 35 wildcard. I like it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone for it. I think for this week only, you could make an improvement going for an Arsenal midfielder like Saka or Havertz, but yeah, those 5 look great for Gameweek 37. Will Zinchenko play this week? I don't think so, but Arsenal have a fully fit squad. The last time Zinchenko played, Arsenal dropped points. Look, he's a good player, but he's not reliable defensively. No, I wouldn't go for Gvardiol as a captain. I know he got 15 points last week, but will he do it back-to-back? I highly doubt it. It'd be very strange, to say the least. I'd personally favour the attackers. Nice Foden captain. It's what I'm currently going for. I'm considering Palmer as well. But yeah, I don't think I'm going for Haaland this week, and that'll probably come back to bite me. I think Madueke is a better option than Jackson. That's fair. I mean, he's a better player than Jackson, arguably. And Madueke has that pace and dribbling that can cause any defense problems, but I just don't trust him in terms of goals and assists. Do I trust Jackson? No, I don't, but a bit more than Madueke in terms of goal contributions. No, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't sell Bruno for a -4. Who do you think will get more points? Bruno for me. Maguire or Branthwaite? I'd probably go for Branthwaite. I just don't trust United defensively that much. I have Edison and Vicario, so should I bring in Petrovic for Vicario? I can see what you're doing. I personally think Edison could play, actually, this week. I'd start him and have Vicario on your bench. But I see why you're doing it. You know, I'd probably do it. Go for Petrovic, but it's not ideal. Hall or Livramento? Probably Hall. Thank you, Keith, once again for moderating the chat. Yeah, Jimmy, I did cover that question already about Van Heck. I said yes. It looks like he's out for the rest of the season. Do you think Gavardiol starts? I do, but I personally think he'll be benched in one of the games coming up, probably in 37. Hi, Dylan. Thoughts on benching Gordon for Powell? Brighton have scored once in the last 5. Yeah, but Aston Villa defensively, I mean, even when they keep clean sheets, I sometimes think they're very fortunate to do it. So I see what you're doing there, but Gordon has a far higher ceiling. If Powell delivers, he gets a clean sheet, you're looking at 6 points most likely, whilst Gordon can get a much higher ceiling, in my opinion. So I'd personally go for Gordon, but it's not a bad argument you pose there. Yeah, Timber, yeah, I covered that earlier, all the injury updates. Arsenal have a fully fit squad for the first time this season. Sahil says Doughty, Konsa, Robinson to Chalobah, Branthwaite, Region. Not a big fan of any of the defenders you're bringing in, to be honest. Even Branthwaite, who looks good for next week, but it wouldn't surprise me if Everton didn't keep another clean sheet for the rest of the season. Region and Brentford, I don't trust. I really don't. Chalobah, maybe he's not too bad, but yeah, not too sure about that, to be honest. If I had to pick one, it's probably Chalobah for the double, but that's about it. What do you think of this midfield? I've covered. Hi, Dylan. 1 free transfer, bench boost 37. Would you do share to Branthwaite? I'd probably roll. Have your defensive coverage come in, whether it be Dalot, Maguire, and have 2 free transfers next week and reassess the situation. But share is a sell overall, but you might be able to go to a better defender like a Gavardiol or Walker instead of Branthwaite. It's Gabriel Saliba. Honestly, there's not much to separate all of them. I'd probably say Saliba. I think recently he's got more bonus points than Gabriel, but honestly, there's not much in it. Foden or Garnacho? Foden all day long, definitely. Would you buy Jackson now? Yellow cards aren't a concern. That already reset after Chelsea played their 32nd game. So after Jackson somehow got away with a yellow card against Arsenal, he even could have been sent off. The risk of suspension has already been eliminated, so don't worry about that. What you should worry about with Jackson is his finishing. I'm bringing in Gavardiol and White. I need to bring one more defender, so should I get Burn, Cucurella, Branthwaite, or go risky and get Trent? I'd probably go to Burn. Cucurella's not a bad shout. I mean, you could say the same about Chalobah, but yeah, I'd say Burn. Dubravka or Pickford? Probably Pickford, but that's mainly because Newcastle have so many defender injuries, so many injuries in general, whilst Everton are in great form defensively. Borra or Robinson? Interesting. Not an easy one. Not an easy one. I'd probably go for Robinson, to be honest. Be sure to smash the like button if you haven't already. Let's get this stream to 100 likes. We're very close to doing that, and it costs nothing, so be sure to do it. And I will be gifting 5 memberships in just a matter of minutes, so keep your eyes peeled. And I'll also be looking to do the same after the deadline. I have Neto, Senesi, Region, Flecken, Powell with 1 free transfer. Who should I remove? I think Neto is the kind of standout one to replace, and then it's Pau Torres. So yeah, Neto to a Petrovic, a Raya, or I think in your case you need a double gaming goalkeeper. You really do. So I'd say Petrovic or a Nana. And for your defenders, maybe a Gavardiol, White, Saliba, Gabriel for Pau Torres. Sell White in FPL? Nah, not for me. Anyone know if next game week I can use bench boost and have 2 free transfers? I heard from someone you can only have 1 even if you've saved 2. No, that's not true. That's only the case with the free hit and wild card. So once you play the free hit or the wild card, you have 1 free transfer in the following week. With bench boost and triple captain, it's kind of the same as if you didn't play a chip at all. Start Borro or Solanke. I'd go for Solanke. Manista Jackson, 1 free transfer, and have Gusto and Aitnuri as doubts for bench boost, 37. Yeah, look, with Jackson, I always bought him on the wild card with a look at the Tottenham game. You know, I really thought he would score in that game, and I liked the double in 37. I don't like him much for 36 or 38, to be quite honest. But yeah, it's a good upgrade, I think. And as for your defender transfers, yeah, I'd maybe take a -4 hit going into Gameweek 37 as well. I want to buy Haaland. Which one should I sell? I'd probably say Jackson. But if you are bench boosting, that's the only scenario where I'd consider selling Watkins. Isak shouldn't be in this debate. You definitely keep him no matter what. But depending on your bench boost or not, you know, for example, if you've got 5 midfielders that are really good, you don't have a bench boost to use, and Jackson will be on your bench regardless, then yeah, I'd look to sell him, but it all depends on that. Start Dubravka or Raya? Raya, definitely. Petrovic or Pickford? Pickford. Sell Odegaard and Salah to De Bruyne and Foden -4. That's a very difficult one. I'm very conflicted. I'd probably say yes, but Odegaard got a massive haul against Bournemouth last time out. Salah against Tottenham, if he starts, is a great option, a great differential. But De Bruyne and Foden are quality players for the last 3 games of the season. They really are. I'd probably say yes, but just about. Heidel and Share to Burn or Cucurella? I'd go to Burn, especially if you have Petrovic already. So I don't take hits, keep my defenders. It was my initial decision, so I have only 0.1 million, so it's difficult to upgrade them. Yeah, honestly, I don't remember exactly what the situation was from a few messages ago, but yeah, I think the best call is to wait until Gameweek 37 and then take a hit there if needed. Sell Salah for Foden. For free, yes. For a -4 hit, I'd reconsider. I've talked about selling Salah for many weeks now, but against Tottenham at home, the way they're defending, if he starts, I really have to keep on mentioning it. I think he's going to do well. KDB, Foden, Haaland. Yeah, KDB's a great shout. I personally favour Foden, but KDB is second and Haaland third there. Raphael's question is already answered. J War as well, I believe. I'm tripled up on City, so can't go for a City defender. Roll or Share or to who? Roll, as I mentioned earlier. Maguire over Borra, really? Well, I mean, Spurs away to Liverpool on the back of 3 defeats. I personally think Liverpool will win this game. It's up to you, mate, but I'm going to go for Maguire. White or Kai? Kai Havertz. Thank you, Shivane. Salah captain. He's definitely, you know, very underrated this week. He really is, but there is a reason for that. Liverpool are completely off it. Salah's been underperforming for some time now, but I think it's a good option. Hi, Dylan. What are you going to do with Edison? Keep him and start him. And if he's still a doubt for 37, then I'll be looking to sell. Is Saka a good differential captain? I believe so. Not sure if he'll be a massive differential, but still. I could bring in Maguire, but I don't see Man United keeping a clean sheet until the end of the season. Neither do I, to be fair, but Maguire's a bit of attacking threat. There's that double to contend with, and United are a very weird team. They can turn up when you least expect them to, and I really hope it's not Gameweek 37. What are you going to do with Bruno? Keep him and start him as well. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep him and start him. I don't think I'm going to offload him. I don't have the funds to even upgrade to De Bruyne. If I did, I would be tempted. I can't even go to a Saka, for example. My only option, really, for one game week is Havertz, but looking at my Gameweek 37 plan, I think it's probably best for me to just roll. Just give me a second, by the way, whilst I fix this annoying flickering light. You might not see on your end, but yeah, it is a bit jarring on my end. So if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Don't worry, this isn't the end. I have been streaming for over an hour already, but we do have another hour to go until the deadline. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon, Championships Discord server, the FPL League, FPL Challenge, Drafthound, Spotify, and Amazon Music as well. Let's see if I can finally fix this flickering light. I don't know why it's bugging out today. Yeah, that should be good to go. It's kind of more annoying for me than anything else. Yes, it's still doing it now. Not even sure why. Bloody annoying. That's what I'm gonna say. All right, well, yeah, I think it's just gonna keep flickering then. It's kind of just bugging out. So just give me a few seconds. I'm gonna fix this and then go back to your questions as always. Okay, I believe I've sorted it, but that's famous last words. I probably wouldn't have too much hope. Let's now go back to my FPL team, which is looking so amazing. A lot of us have similar issues, similar dilemmas, and currently going for this with Gordon Dallo and Pedro Porro on my bench. Also Petrovic to come in if Edison is still out. The captaincy, I'm not sure, how most people in the Twitter community and all that are going, but I'm going for Foden, and Palmer is my vice. Bruno Fernandes is an injury doubt for me, the only one I have right now. Edison is cleared, and there is a chance he plays against Wolves. But yeah, I think the best case for a lot of Gameweek 35 wildcarders is to roll the transfer in Gameweek 36 and have those two available for Gameweek 37. So, you know what? Thank you to those that have been patient. I'm going to gift 5 memberships now. And like I mentioned, after the deadline, they'll gift another 5. So let's see who gets it. I'm going to read them out just now. So, Weiseng, Shivane, Mohammed, Mapaga, and Natalie S. I believe Natalie S and Weiseng have been channel members before. So, yeah, just their constant contributions to the chat are rewarded, especially Weiseng. Raphael says, Manise to Jackson, 1 free transfer, and have Gusto and Nuri as doubts for bench boost. Yeah, I did answer this question, so I'm not going to go for that again. Share to burn or play Dallo Porro. I would just play Dallo, as mentioned earlier. Maguire or Dallo for next week. I think on current form, I'd go for Maguire. Captain Foden or Haaland, you can see on screen. Hit for Salah to Foden and Lascelles to Gvardiol, yes. Start Morris or Solanke. Probably I'd go for Morris. Start Maguire or Region. Gabriel, Burn, Maguire. Start 2 defenders. Gabriel and Burn. Darwin, Salah to Haaland, Foden this game week, or Salah to KDB this week and bring Foden for Havertz next week and keep Darwin. I'd do the first option and sell both Darwin and Salah, although the fixture this week could really suit him. Bruno news we covered a few times, but he picked up a little problem after the recent game. And Ten Hag said don't rule him out of any game, and he's going to do everything possible to be available. Yeah, that question's covered. Striker options, can't get Jackson. Selling Solanke, have Isak and Haaland. Can't get Jackson. Well, Watkins, if money is no issue. If it is, then it's a bit trickier, because Rasmus Højlund is also more expensive than Jackson, but yeah, I'm going to stick with those two. Hi Dylan, ¿qué tal? Con Cher lesionado, ¿por quién ir? Already have Gabriel and Branthwaite, but Maguire and Porro not confident on them this week. Yeah, all good, Mauro. What about you? Yeah, it's kind of funny with Cher because he was quite positive about his injury in a interview with the Swiss media, but Eddie Howe is Eddie Howe, so let's see if he's actually telling the truth. I would probably go for a Gvardiol or Walker, but I personally think all C defenders are rotation risks. Yeah, Gvardiol in, I'd probably go for it, but as I just said, I'm a bit concerned about all Man City defenders. Son and Garnacho or... Not sure what the context of the question is. I think Son's better than Garnacho even this week, but I'm not sure what the alternative there is. Hi, -4 to sell Gvardiol and get KDB. Sell Gusto, wait nearer to Porro, many thanks. No, I wouldn't do that. As good as KDB is, I don't think it's worth a -4 hit, or at least it's very risky for that hit to pay off. Start Eze or Gordon. I'd go for Gordon. I make Captain Havertz. Is that sensible? Yeah, I think so. With his current form, the most goal contributions in this calendar year. If this was at the beginning of the season, I'd be probably laughing at you or, saying no, but you can't ignore that form. Yeah, Sahil, that defense doesn't look great, to be honest. I will probably look to make a transfer. I'd take hits if possible. Best 5 million defender this week. I'd say Gavardio. I have Areola and Neto. I can't afford Chelsea and a Tottenham goalkeeper. Any recommendations, Dylan? I mean, Dubravka looks good for now, but once Nick Pope is back, that becomes kind of meaningless. And you look at the other goalkeepers at your disposal, I don't know. You don't really have many choices, to be honest. Petrovic is already quite cheap at 4.6. Sell Salah to buy Foden and Isak for a -4. I'd say yes. As much as I like Salah for this week, I think that's probably the best play. Rico Lewis, Richards, Aitnuri, sell one for whom? Bench boost, Gameweek 37. Well, to be honest, they're all sells. They really are. But right now, I'd focus on selling Aitnuri. No, I earned those 5. Wei Seng is a moderate already. He's in blue. That's why you only saw 4 greens. Thank you, Shivane. Hey, Dylan, start Maguire or Region. I've covered. I'd probably start Region. Any other Arsenal defender aside from White and Saliba? Already have Gabriel. Well, no. I mean, if you were to go for a Tomiyasu or a Sinchenko, you're only going to see rotation. So I personally don't think it's worth it. You go for one of those 3 or nothing. Is it even worth getting Dallo and Borro? Right now, I wouldn't buy Borro. Maybe for Gameweek 37, but definitely not this week. And as for Dallo, I mean, he's not in great form himself, but yeah, I'd rather buy Dallo out of those 2. Once again, Organ, I'd go for Dallo. Abraham says triple captain Saka, Havertz, Foden, Palmer, Alvarez, Haaland. I'd personally go for one of Foden or Palmer. Take your pick from those, but they're all good options. They really are. Captain Havertz, have Haaland, don't have Foden, says Bridgerton. Good luck. I really wish you the best there. And yeah, not having Foden. Honestly, I'd rather Havertz did really well and Foden blanked, but let's see. Here we go. I've done it again. Yeah, I think YouTube really favours you, to be fair. Yeah. Sell Son for Saka, Foden, then bring him back for double Gameweek 37. Yeah, absolutely fine. Start Mateta to bench Gordon or Son. If I had to pick one, it'd be Gordon on the bench, but not ideal. So yeah, let's get this stream to 100 likes. Once we do, I'll be gifting another 5 memberships. And of course, at the very end of the deadline, best share replacement, I don't know who you have already, but White, Saliba, Gabriel and Gavardio spring to mind. Livramento a good punt for the final 3 weeks? I think so. I have Vicario and Edison. Should I sell Vicario to Petrovic or hope that Edison starts tomorrow? I'd probably go for Petrovic, but it's looking good for Edison, to be fair. It really is. So it can go both ways, but I'd probably go for Petrovic. Start Son or Bruno Fernandes? I would go for Bruno. Then why Maguire over Dallo? Don't really see anything that's wrong with it. Maguire's in better form than Dallo, and that's why I'm going for him. And that's why I also went for him last week. And Maguire was on course for a bonus point, but in the end it meant nothing. Welcome the dog. Hopefully you're good too. Saka, Palmer or De Bruyne, who would you pick as captain? Out of those 3, probably De Bruyne. Palmer's a close second. Now, with De Bruyne, there's always that risk of rotation, and it could come back to bite you, but it's worth the risk, I think. Start 2, Branthwaite, Doughty, Gavardio. I'd just bench Doughty. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't start him in any game week left. Amis says, hi, -4 hit for Gusto and Solanke to Gavardio and Jackson. Yes, I probably would. Jackson for a -4 hit this week, I'm not that sure about, but overall it's worth it. Should I transfer out Cher and Van Heck? Yes. I'd focus on Cher for now, and then maybe Van Heck next week. David Levitt says, hi Dylan, Son to Foden and Aitnuri to Gavardio for a -4. Yes. Now with Son, I still like him a lot for Gameweek 37 and 38, but yeah, for this week it looks good. Garnacho, can't afford both since I have Haaland. Or should I replace Haaland with someone else? I can't remember who you said, Garnacho or someone else, but I'm fairly sure the other player you mentioned is way better than Garnacho, so I'd pick them. Chasing 20 points, best difference. Best differentials, well, captaining a De Bruyne or Palmer would be a start. I also think going for best differentials. I think Kai Havertz. You know, a lot of people are focusing on doublers in Gameweek 37, but going for a Saka or Havertz right now is still great. So I think those are some for you. Start Edison or Petrovic. I would go for Edison. You can see on screen as well. Watkins to Haaland -4. I wouldn't do it. Best defender for bench boost. Already have Gvardiol and Burn. The options are quite limited, but I think one of Dalot or Maguire spring to mind. I wouldn't go for Arsenal defenders in this case because of the bench boost. I think you could find better options there. So, yeah, I'm probably going to say one of Maguire, Dalot, or a Cucurella. Start Garnacho or Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro. If you had Saka, would you feel tempted to captain? Yeah, but I think I'd still stick with Foden or Palmer. Sell Bruno for KDB, Garnacho, Gross, Bailey, Elise or McNeil. None of them for me. You know, if I had to pick one, it'd be KDB, but I'd keep Bruno Fernandes. Son to Havertz or roll? I'd roll. Gordon or Garnacho? Gordon. Start 2 of Son, Bruno Fernandes and Højlund. I feel like I've had a few of these questions before, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to go for Son and Bruno Fernandes. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Dylan, for the free membership gift. I think it's just your channel that wants to read all the subscriber questions. I appreciate it. It can get very hectic in here as well, and trust me, there are some people who complain, but I do try my best. Dr. K34 says start any 2. Literally just as above. I'd go for Gordon and Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, I've seen that share interview here in Switzerland TV, but some of the pundits were saying that it can be a message to Yakin, Swiss coach, probably roll the transfer and go Maguire. Free City already. Yeah, and either way, for Gameweek 37, I think Share is out, but maybe he plays in Gameweek 38, maybe. Not that it really matters too much, but yeah, it's just Eddie Howe isn't trustworthy, otherwise this wouldn't really be made into a thing. Johnny Love says, hey Dylan, same midfield, got Gordon on the bench too, it's a toss between him and Son. Jackson, Mateta, Isak, should I bring Haaland now for Jackson for a -4? I probably would, to be fair. Although Jackson proved what he could do against Tottenham, yeah, I think I would. What are your transfers? None. Are you going with Foden as captain? Currently, yes. Could I change it? I could, but I think it's between them, between Foden and Palmer. I don't see anyone else being my captain. Haaland, of course, is always in the back of your mind, but no transfers, I believe, and I probably will stick with the same captain. If anything, I'll make a change to my team selection and bring in Gordon for somebody, but I don't see much changing. Should I start Branthwaite over Dalot? I think I would, but there's quite slim margins there. Darwin or Hwang Hee-chan? Darwin. Do you think Haaland is essential this week? Not really, especially if you have if you have De Bruyne and Foden. I think that's pretty good cover. Start Borro or Dunk? Probably Dunk. Abdullah says Son and Garnacho or Bruno and Garnacho. Once again, I'm going to go for, well, this time is Son or Bruno, basically. That's your question. And it's close. Can't afford both since I have Haaland, or should I replace Haaland with someone else? That is the full question. Okay, fair enough. I get you. It's tricky. I'm still going to stick with Son because of the Burnley and Sheffield United fixtures. I think those two swing it in Son's favour. Oamara puts his full team, 2 free transfers. Recommend who to sell and buy. I want a wild card in 37. I'm guessing what you're going to do is have the likes of White, Salah, Gabriel and Saka for one last game week and then wildcard them out, which is fair enough, but I'm not going to lie, I'd probably wildcard that team. I really would, Oamara, because I look at Henderson, Eze, Robinson, Al-Dakhli, all on your bench, but I think they aren't great options for the rest of the season. Darwin and Solanke, Manise, I think could really improve that front line with Haaland. Yeah, honestly, Oamara, I'd wildcard now and check out my wildcard video from yesterday, and I think it'll really help you out. Start 2 of Son, Gordon, and Bruno Fernandes. I'm currently going for Son and Fernandes, so that's my current recommendation. Onana or Petrovic, who to start for Gameweek 36? Onana. 7 points from the lead in mini league. Who do I captain as a differential? One of De Bruyne, Palmer, or even Foden. I think Haaland will be very template this week, so going for one of those really works out, I think. Trippier coming back, potentially next week for double Gameweek 37, but not in Gameweek 36. I have Gabriel, Borro, Maguire, Aït-Nouri and Share. Best Share replacement or just roll? Yeah, I'd probably make a transfer here. And I would go to a Gavardio or perhaps a Cucurella. Areola or Neto? Areola. It's just, I'm not a big fan of either of them this week. Sal Van Dijk for Konsa, Branthwaite, Doughty or Gavardio? Gavardio. Play Kilman away at City or take a -4? I'd probably take a -4. It depends on which defender you can go to, but ideally it'd be a Gameweek Phase 7 defender, you know, with a double. And in that case, the -4 hit should pay off. Yeah, Isak captain is good. It's not in my top 5. He's not my favourite, but I think he's definitely worth mentioning. Gavardio or Walker? Gavardio for me, but there's not much in it. And I think all Man City defenders could be rotated. Would you use Jackson instead of Darwin? I probably would. And that's mainly because I think Darwin could be benched again. Start Jackson or Højlund? Jackson, but not by much. Watkins or Jackson to start? Definitely Watkins all day long. Bruno to Havertz for the rest of the game week? For this week, I prefer Havertz, yes, but for Gameweek Phase 7 and 38, well, at least Gameweek Phase 7, I'd argue Bruno Fernandes is much better. Not enough to buy Bruno. Garnacho best option or who? If you want a Man United midfielder who isn't Bruno, then yeah, Garnacho's your next best option. I would play Son and probably Manice there. What do you think of Palmer as a captain? But yesterday he looked so tired and he has 2 days to rest only. Well, he was ill last week against Arsenal. He just came back. Wasn't great against Villa. Against Tottenham, not his best performance, but I still think he's a good option. I think the next few days he'll be refreshed, ready to go again. He's got very good recovery. Obviously, he's very young and he's having a great season, so I'm not really too concerned about that. Captain Saka, it's a great option. I really do. Probably my top 5. Play Dubravka or Petrovic? Probably Petrovic, you know. Buy Walker or Gavardio. I've covered this a few times just now. I'd go for Gavardio. Available defense, Reguilon, Maguire and Gabriel. On the bench, Udogie and Gusto. Should I buy Walker? It's at your own risk whether you buy Walker, Gavardio or any Man City defender. I've mentioned it many times in the stream. But yeah, I think Man City defenders are still worth investment. It's just a minefield. It's so difficult to nail on the right one who's going to start every game. But yeah, I think he's an upgrade on both Udogie and Gusto, of course. Udogie's out for the rest of the season. Gusto could be out for at least Gameweek Phase 6 and Phase 7, so that's fine. You could also consider Burn, Cucurella, but yeah, I think one of Gavardio or Walker is probably the best option. Rohin says, hey Dylan, who's the best captain if I don't have Haaland or Foden? I'd say Palmer for me. Saka and Salah are very tempting, but I'm going to go for Palmer there. Start Petrovic or Dubravka, I've covered. That was literally X's question just now, so hopefully you got that. Thoughts on Gibbs-White? He's a good player, but FPL-wise, I don't think I'd go for him right now. Brighton defenders, my thoughts, don't go for any of them. If you've got a Brighton defender, sell if possible. Dunk will be the best option, but honestly, I don't think he's worth the money. Sell Gusto or keep him for 37. If you've got a good defense this week, keep Gusto for now, but I'd ultimately sell him. I really would. First on the bench, Højlund or Borro? Definitely Højlund for me. I have your wildcard suggested team for Phase 6, Phase 7, but short on 1.4 million. Who to drop? Right, okay. Just give me a second whilst I load up the wildcard team. And by the way, just let me know, is it the bench boost team or is it the non-bench boost team, which I cover at the end? That's very important because if you don't have the bench boost for Phase 7, then I would highly recommend going for the last team, which has the likes of Kai Havertz. But yeah, my squad value isn't even that great, to be honest. So I'm surprised that some people are that short, but I think what I'd consider in your case, so you've done Romero, Gavardio, Maguire in. Well, Gavardio is in the team, the one that I talked about. And I've got Maguire. So yeah, I'm not sure which wildcard team you looked at, the first one or the second. So be sure to let me know. Reda says bench 2, Burn, Maguire, Van der Ven, Branthwaite, Gabriel. I would bench Van der Ven. Right, I just missed the last one and just retracted it. But yeah, Van der Ven and probably Maguire. Those are the two I'd drop. Kevish says, who should I sell? Rico Lewis 4. Planning to get KDB for the double game week and already have Foden and Haaland. Thoughts? Well, apart from the Arsenal defenders, who I keep on mentioning all season, I would probably look at one of Maguire, Dalot, or Cucurella. Calvert-Lewin or Solanke? Still Solanke for me. Onana, Gvardiol, and Maguire, or Edison, Maguire, and Dalot? I would go for Onana, Gvardiol, and Maguire. White to Gabriel, it's not really worth it. Start Border or Branthwaite? Branthwaite. Yeah, Foden should start. I mean, if I didn't think that, I wouldn't be captaining him, that's for sure. Bench 2, yeah, covered. Who should I captain from these 8? KDB, Son, Palmer, Foden, Havertz, Manice, Mateta. One of the City players or Palmer for me. Of course, Havertz is a great option as well, but I'd probably stick with Foden or KDB. Take your pick from those two. Gvardiol or Burn? Gvardiol. Gusto to Gvardiol for a -4? I think so. Avi says bench boost team. Yeah, well, a few of those players you mentioned are already in the wildcard team. So you went for Romero instead of Borro. That's fair enough. And you're still 1.4 million short. If that's the case, I'd maybe consider Bruno Fernandes downgraded to a Havertz, which wouldn't even fully solve the problem, but it would help you a lot. You could even do Jackson to Joao Pedro, which isn't ideal, but that's something else you could do. Yeah, I think Bruno Fernandes downgraded is probably your best bet. Or even Heung-min Son, actually. Hey Dylan, happy Easter. Happy Easter. Well, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was last month, but happy Easter to you as well. Bruno Fernandes is okay? Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you look at Ten Hag's comments, and he said that Bruno Fernandes picked up a small problem, but he's doing everything possible to be in the squad. So why Foden captain? Why not? Sell Zabani and Gusto for Maguire and Burn. Yeah, I think so. Gvardiol or Burn I've covered. Start Gordon or Manice. I'd go for Gordon. Who would you start out of Son, Sarabi or Aït-Nouri? Son for me. Start Bruno, Isak or Trent? Isak. Thanos says hit to take out Son or Salah for either Foden or Saka. So this week, Salah is a much better option than Son for me, but the Gameweek 37 and 38, I think that edges me towards Son. I'd rather sell Salah, and I will do Salah to Foden. Replacement of Van Heck at a similar price, Dan Burn or Maguire. Foden or Havertz captain? Foden for me. Any information about Gusto for Gameweek 37? Nope. I covered all the injury updates very early on in the stream, and there were no updates on Gusto after the Tottenham game. Should I replace White for Gusto or Aït-Nouri? Aït-Nouri. Because with Gusto, there's still a chance he's back for Gameweek 37 and could play both games. Of course, with Aït-Nouri, worse fixtures, no double game weeks. I'd rather sell Aït-Nouri. Van Dijk to Gvardiol or Burn? Gvardiol. Bruno to Garnacho for funds? That's another possibility. It's not ideal, but yeah, that could definitely work. Hi Dylan, who would you start? Tarkowski or Gordon? Gordon. Johnny Love says, thanks for the tip. Yes, Haaland for a -4 is a must for Jackson. I'll also captain Foden as he has a nice differential. What do you think of captaining Mateta? With Eze back, he can haul again. Yeah, and I think with all the Palace attackers, they're at their best when they're all available. Elise, Eze and Mateta. So that's a great shout. And yeah, Foden captain is a bit of a differential, I'd like to think, but who knows with FPL nowadays. I wouldn't captain Mateta personally. And I think Man United won't concede that many goals. That could definitely come back to bite me. But yeah, I'm looking at like a 2-1 either way for either Man United or Palace. I think it'll be quite a cagey game. So I'd rather not captain Mateta personally. Højlund or Jackson next week? Jackson for me. But very, very fine margins. Who to captain, Palmer or Isak? I'd go for Palmer. Would you swap Garnacho and Aït-Nouri for Foden and Livramento for a -8? I would, and I just think Foden justifies the hit, but it is a tricky one. It really is. Yeah, I probably will roll my transfer mogul. Dr. K34 says, have 3 Newcastle players. Maguire, oh God. Well, if you can stretch to it, Gvardiol for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if you say you have Gvardiol already, or Triple City. If you do have Triple City, then maybe go for another Arsenal defender. If you don't have enough funds, then I don't know what to do. Thank you, Dylan, for your guidance and patiently answering all questions. About 10 double is good for Gameweek 37 bench boost, or should I take a -8 for adding 2 more? Thank you very much. Yeah, 10 is good, but I think a -4 or a -8 could go a long way to helping that bench boost be optimized even further. So it depends also on the quality of players you're bringing in. Who would you be selling in that -4 or -8? But I'd consider the -8, I would. Sell Manise or Mateta, also for who? I'd rather sell Manise, and to who? Preferably one of Isak, Watkins or Haaland, but if you can't afford them, then maybe I would look at Rasmus Højlund or Jackson. Edison, or are you trying to get 2 free transfers for 37? Well, the update by Pep was very positive, and I'm just starting him. If he doesn't play, I've got Petrovic on my bench. I'm only fearful of Edison starting and coming off for a 1-pointer. Avi says, thanks for the help. Bruno to Garnacho or Son to Maddison? Probably Bruno to Garnacho if I had to pick one. Start Son or Joao Pedro? Son. Braden Barry says, Burn in for Bradley or Van Heck, but would block a move for Gordon, or Salah to Foden and Bradley to Gavardio. Salah to Foden and Bradley to Gavardio is my preference. Start Pickford or Petrovic? Pickford. Bench Son or Jackson? I'd probably bench Jackson from those two, but very tricky one. Yeah, Everton defenders are fine. It's just I think their motivation will be gone because they've survived now. There's nothing really to play for except pride and whatnot, points tallies. Of course, they've had plenty deducted this season. I think one's fine, having a Branthwaite, maybe Pickford in goal. For those that aren't aware, of course, Mikalenko is out for the rest of the season. But yeah, I think Everton defence is okay. I don't like them so much this week or in Gameweek 38 in particular, but they look quite decent for Gameweek 37 against Sheffield United at home. I have Son and Bodrow bench, Edison, Walker, Region, White, Gordon, Bruno Fernandes, Palmer, KDB, Isak, Jackson, Højlund. Yeah, I can see why you've done that. I would consider starting Son over Gordon or potentially Jackson, or even Højlund to be fair, actually, but yeah, it's very, very close between all of them. I'd probably start Son. That's kind of my take on it. The rest looks very solid. Dallo or Branthwaite in the starting 11? Probably Branthwaite. Start Son or Joao Pedro? I've covered that a lot of times, Jack. I really have. Hi, Dylan. Would you play Bailey, Wissa or Solanke this weekend? Bailey. Start Son or Højlund? I think I'd go for Son. Hi, Dylan. Should I do share to burn for a -8? Had 5 flag defenders, so got Gavardio and Ben White for a -4, but still need a third defender this week. Well, in that case, I would take the hit. Otherwise, I would have said, you know what, stick with a -4, play your other defender, but if you're not happy with it, then fair enough. Start Son or Bruno? Bruno Fernandes. Dylan, who's the player with the best singles in Gameweek 37? Now, that is a good question. I wouldn't say it's a great single, but I think Ollie Watkins against Liverpool could be very good. Not going to lie. Looking at the other games in Gameweek 37. So, I still think one of Havertz or Saka could be good against United. I wouldn't say it's a great fixture, though. I don't think that even now. Yeah, it's very close, I think. You'd probably look at Everton assets, so Branthwaite, Pickford to cover that Everton defence. But I wouldn't favour their attackers, McNeil and Calvert-Lewin. They might be good for this week only, but it's not really what you want to go for. I'd say West Ham against Luton, so maybe a Jared Bowen could really work out, or Kudus. So yeah, to kind of narrow it down, I'd say Kudus, Bowen, Branthwaite. I'd also say Havertz and Saka. Those are my favourite single game options. And to not forget anybody, I'd say Watkins against Liverpool could be pretty decent as well. All right. Should I free hit in 37 or 38? In 37, I could put out a team of 7 good doublers, plus triple Arsenal and Branthwaite against Sheffield United at home. So I'm thinking if I shouldn't just save it for 38 and wait for mass rotation. It's tricky because there could still be rotation in Gameweek 37, right? And generally speaking, I agree with you. Gameweek 38 is probably my my preferred time to free hit, but I don't know, 7 doublers, you can turn that into, I mean, to be fair, you'd only gain a few doublers in the process, but you can get 11 doublers there quite easily and match a lot of wildcard teams. Maybe not those with a bench boost, but you could do a good job of doing that. So very tricky one. I don't know your team as well, Diogo, and that makes it a bit more difficult to answer, but I'd probably free hit in 37 in your scenario. The triple up in Arsenal isn't bad, and of course Branthwaite, I just mentioned them now, amongst the best single Gameweek players in 37, but I think those 4 extra doublers could go a long way. They really could. Captain Haaland, Foden or Havertz? Foden for me. Todd Stewart says, Dylan, Son and Solanke to De Bruyne and Watkins for a -4. Free hit Gameweek 37, your thoughts? Yeah, looks good to me. And you can still bring Son back for Gameweek 38 against Sheffield United away. Yeah, I think Watkins and De Bruyne look amazing this week. They really do. Selling Son for a -4, I think it will pay off. Yeah, I'd go for it. Thank you, Leonardo. Big Sam says, next week have Foden, KDB plus Bruno, or Haaland and Garnacho. I prefer Foden, KDB and Bruno, if that's what you're saying. If it's a duo question, so KDB and Bruno or Haaland Garnacho, I'm going to go for KDB Bruno. Bogos says, I got 5.3 million in the bank. Should I keep Walker or get Gvardiol? Yeah, I'd keep what you have for now. I think, look, let's say, for example, Walker's benched in Gameweek 36, and then you might be, oh, you know what, I'm going to sell him to Gvardiol next week. Then you can find out Gvardiol's benched in Gameweek 37. So it actually might be a blessing in disguise for you for the double if Walker's benched this week. That's kind of the way it goes. It's just all Man City defenders are rotation risks. I'd keep what you have. Walker's a good option. Top transfer this week or some to prepare for bench boost in the next game week? I mean, a lot of names are quite standard, very template. So the likes of Isak, Son, Palmer, Foden. I think De Bruyne is a massive differential and he helps you this week and in Gameweek 37. So De Bruyne definitely springs to mind. Having goalkeeper rotation of Ariel and Neto is so painful. Is a -4 needed to get another goalkeeper? I don't normally recommend hits for goalkeepers, but I think it could pay off because Neto obviously was benched very recently. You've got Areola with injury problems and West Ham are poor defensively. And you can go to a double game goalkeeper. So yeah, going to Petrovic and Nana could really work out. I want to transfer out Fernandez for Havertz, but Gameweek 37 Bruno has a double game week, but sometimes single game weeks can outscore doubles. Yeah, that's definitely the case, but I'd keep Bruno Fernandes. I think he'll outscore Havertz until the end of the season, with the extra fixture playing a big part, of course. But do you think that Newcastle could keep a clean sheet against Burnley away? They could. Will they? I don't think they will. Hi Dylan, would you do Van Heck to Branthwaite this week? I'm looking to bench boost next week. If possible, I'd save that transfer for next week because you have more information, maybe more flexibility with 2 free transfers if you roll this week. So yeah, look, if you need that third defender, then I don't mind it. Branthwaite is okay this week, and more importantly for Gameweek 37, very good fixture at home. Or should I replace Bruno Fernandes or Foden with De Bruyne? I'd keep what you have. Captain Mateta, not for me, as I mentioned earlier. I personally think Palace, Man United will be low scoring and cagey. Bench Mateta or Gordon? I'd bench Mateta from those two, I believe. Very close though, very, very close. Chelsea's finished puts his team. Captain Foden, fair enough. Good squad. No problems with that whatsoever. I mean, Region, a bit iffy about that. The rest looks very strong. Hear me out, Gvardiol captain, not for me. He got a 15-point haul last week. Very lucky too as well. I mean, how Forest didn't score is beyond me, but I don't think he's worth a captaincy. He'll probably get 6-7 points this week. If I'm wrong, I'll hold it, but I don't think he's going to get a massive haul. I have Edison and Foden. How to manage free City assets for bench boost next week. Sell Edison and buy 2, or just take Haaland in place of Højlund Jackson. I'd focus on buying Haaland, and Edison could be available this weekend. He's got no flag anymore. The update was very positive by Pep in today's presser, so I'd keep Edison for now. If he's still a doubt for 37, you could also maybe make a switch there, but I'd prioritise Erling Haaland. Thoughts on Salah, bro? I was actually quite positive about him today. If he starts, I think he's going to do very well against Tottenham. He has a great record against them, a fantastic one. and I think the way they play really suits the likes of Salah and Darwin Núñez. Captain De Bruyne, Haaland, Saka or Isak? I'd go to De Bruyne. Only a slight concern about rotation, which we always get with De Bruyne nowadays. I think the way I'd rank that is De Bruyne first, Saka second, Haaland third, and Isak fourth. Yeah, I prefer Foden over KDB too. Thoughts on Hansi Flick's Chelsea? I don't think he'll go to Chelsea. He obviously did a great job at Bayern Munich. Not so much with Germany, which surprised me, but yeah, I just see Chelsea going in a different direction. Should I play Branthwaite or Dalot? Branthwaite for me, but there's not much in it. Mr. Dreamer says, hello from Nepal. Currently in 15k rank. Good stuff. Whom to start, Manice or Garnacho? That is almost 50-50, I think. And Manice has been an absolute troll for me, by the way. When I had him, he blanked in 3 consecutive games. I benched him on, Gameweek 34 when I... Well, I didn't free hit. I wish I did. Yeah, in Gameweek 34, I benched him. He got an assist. I sold him. Then he scored. But, yeah, I think I'd go for Manice here. Just about. So, in terms of the deadline, we are getting closer. 40 minutes left. So, be sure to lock in your teams. Some questions have been answered, so bear that in mind. We have gone for a lot already. But let's go through the rest. Start Jackson or Gordon. I'm currently going for Jackson. Who gets more points, Son or Bruno this week? I think I answered this earlier, Nuclear. I'd probably go for Bruno. Idea for players now that can be captain in Gameweek 37, Kevin De Bruyne. 4-point family and defender for this and next double game week. Maguire and Dan Burn. I think Burn might have gone up to 4.6 million though, which is a shame. Thank you, Bogos. How was Lewis Hall as a punt? Yeah, that could also be the alternative to Dan Burn, to be fair. I think Hall is a decent shout. Bench Son or Eze? I'd bench Eze. Salah to Son or Foden? Foden. We'll go a bit different and bench Jackson. We'll bank on him for getting the form he is on. Yeah, I mean, with Jackson, it wouldn't surprise me if he blanked in the next 2 games and, you know, or even the next 3. I mean, that's the way Jackson can be. But yeah, I personally, yeah, I mean, with Jackson, I might end up benching him for Gordon myself. It's a good shout. Saliba, good option? Definitely. The same goes for Gabriel and Ben White. David Raya in goal. Foden or Fernandes? Foden. Tommy Raw says, hi Dylan, is it worth taking a -4 to do Darwin and Gusto out for Jackson, Dalot, and then bench Gordon, start Jackson, or wait for next week? I'd wait for next week, start Gordon, and you can always buy Jackson then. What about Pope and Trippier? Pope is back in training. Trippier should return next week. I think Trippier could play 1 game in 37. With Pope, who knows? He's been out for so long. They might not rush him back, which would be the sensible thing to do. But, yeah, I'd say Pope is more likely to start both games in Gameweek 37. If I roll and don't do Van Hector Branthwaite, I'd play Maguire this week. It's not ideal, but I could think of worse. Yeah, I'd probably just roll the transfer and start Maguire. Hi, bench one of Gordon, Fernandes, or Son? I'd probably bench Gordon. Mark my words, Region will haul. I hope not. I've still got some beef after blank Gameweek 29. Edison or Petrovic? Edison. Suggest some differentials for the next 3 game weeks. I've mentioned a few already throughout the stream. So Havertz for me is one of the best ones among single game week options. Captaining a De Bruyne and even going from him in the first place is a differential. There's quite a few things you could do. Lewis Hall in the back line to cover Newcastle defensively, as someone rightfully mentioned. I'm not going to suggest goalkeeper so much. I think Petrovic, Onana, Raya are the 3 best you can go for. Up front, I'd say Rasmus Højlund is another differential. So Jackson or Højlund? I'd favour Jackson just about. That's why I went for him. What do you think of Havertz to Maddison? No chance on current form. I think Havertz is much better this week. Maybe next week, but I'd stick with Havertz right now. Buy Dalot or White. Have no Arsenal defender, but bench boost next week. I'd go for Dalot if you don't have any other United defender or Onana in goal. But if you do, I'd just probably go for Ben White. Hi Dylan, KDB captain. Yeah, he's fine. I mean, probably second in my list, just behind Foden, but you could easily interchange that. Start Maguire or Branthwaite. We've had this question a lot, and I've answered it to death. Maybe Son over Bruno. Maybe, for sure, but I'd personally favour Bruno because I think he'll start and the fixture looks more appealing for Manchester United there. My current prediction is 3-1 Liverpool against Tottenham and 2-1 Man United, but I'll probably change one of them. Play Senesi, Doughty, or take a -4 for Burn or Gvardiol. I take a hit and go to Gvardiol, but Burn is fine as well. Isak and Jackson, who again best for next week, not Haaland. Yeah, Isak and Jackson are fine. Apart from those two, I'd say Rasmus Højlund, but not a big fan. Transferred in Cucurella, thoughts? He was great against Spurs, very inconsistent player, and you never know what you're going to get with Chelsea, but I think that's fine. My team, Edison injured. No, he's not flagged anymore. He might play against Wolves. I mean, there's no real need to rush him back, but if you've got goalkeeper coverage like I do, there's no need to make a move this week. Best captain this week, I think it's between Foden and De Bruyne. Of course, you can't forget Haaland, but looking beyond City, Palmer, Havertz, Saka, all definitely rise to the occasion, but I think Foden or De Bruyne would be my top pick. Riyadh says Salah, Solanke and Morris out, KDB, Isak, Jackson in, -8. Yes, but I'd reconsider the Salah transfer out for a hit. Maybe keeping him this week could be massive. So sticking to Solanke and Morris out for Isak and Jackson. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Thank you, Haribo, as always. Don't need a -4. Have Man City, Newcastle and Chelsea, but have no Gunners attackers. Was thinking Bruno to Odegaard. Saka hates me and I hate Havertz. Talk me out of it. Well, Odegaard got a massive haul against Bournemouth earlier this season. That's not really talking you out of it, is it? But yeah, I think if I'm ranking the Arsenal midfielders right now, it's Havertz first, Saka second, and Odegaard third. I mean, you can't deny Havertz's form in this calendar year. The most goal contributions of any Premier League player. I see what you're doing here. I know it's not for a -4 hit, but also being able to roll the transfer and having 2 next week could be massive, especially if you're bench boosting. So if you're bench boosting next week, my advice would be to roll. But if you're really insistent on getting an Arsenal attacker, I'd probably go for Kai Havertz. I really would, yeah. I mean, I haven't really recommended him much all season, but you can't ignore what he's been doing week in, week out for the last couple of months now. So yeah, my preference is Havertz as a 1 game week punt. Saka, of course, is another one. Really good option, very consistent. But yeah, I'd personally roll the transfer and have 2 next week if possible. -8 to get Gvardiol for Van Dijk. Only if it's needed. If you've got Maguire, Gabriel and, let's say, Burn, like I do, that's absolutely fine. Bruno to Saka or Havertz. Probably Havertz based on current form, and it's not even just form, it's a couple of months now. Without Burn, which Newcastle defender to take for the rest of the season? Perhaps Lewis Hall, actually. My rank is 30k. Thanks, man, for the tips. Haaland captain. Thank you very much, Abo. I'd personally favour Haaland. I'd personally favour Foden and De Bruyne, but Haaland is a good option. He really is. And look, with your rank, I can see why you want to protect it a little bit, but yeah, I'd personally put Haaland 4th or 5th in my list. It's all subjective, right? And sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. I just have a good feeling about Foden or De Bruyne. I think one of them will go massive. I'm captaining Haaland this week, got a really good feeling. He's in great form, to be fair. If ever there was a time to captain Haaland, it might be now, actually. I hope he goes quiet, not just for FPL terms, but yeah, he's looking really sharp. Bench Son or Højlund? I'd bench Højlund. Adnan says, get Havertz for Bruno or start Højlund and get a City defender for Share. I would start Højlund and get a City defender for Share, but to be honest, I'd start Bruno anyway. I personally think he will play. Wilson for the next 2 game weeks or bring in Pedro or Højlund? I'd bring in Højlund from those lot. Vicaria or Onana? I'd go for Onana. Would you captain Foden or Palmer if chasing rank? I just captain Foden anyway. That's my current gut feeling. Saka to Havertz for a -4? No chance. That's not worth it. Start Gordon or Garnacho? Gordon. Bruno Fernandes to Havertz for this game week. Yeah, as long as you can buy Bruno Fernandes back for free, I'd probably do it. Start 1, Region or Robertson? Region. Son and Van Dijk out for Foden and Trent -8. I have free hit for 37. Not a big fan of Trent, to be honest. I know he's got the attacking potential, but Liverpool are far too leaky defensively. Yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool kept no clean sheets for the rest of the year, or rest of the season. I'll make it very clear there. Ederson, Petrovic on the bench, Gabriel, Maguire, and Branthwaite. Borro and Cher, Palmer, Bruno, Gordon, Foden captain, Son, Haaland, Vice, Isak, Jackson, 2 free transfers next week, and bench boost, best triple captain in 36 or 38. I think I'd triple captain now, but there's not much in it. As for your squad, it looks very solid. I've got a similar setup. Yeah, Ederson in. I think that's pretty good. I'd definitely roll the transfer in your situation. Gabriel over White, there's not much in it really. Yeah, I don't see a big difference between them. If there is to be a massive swing, it will be down to luck and variance. Gvardiol, KDB, Foden, or KDB, Foden, Alvarez for this week and next week. Gvardiol, KDB, and Foden. Walker or Gvardiol? Gvardiol, but there's not much in it, and I think both could be rotated in the weeks to come. Bench Dubravka or Pickford? I'd bench Dubravka. Yeah, you are playing Branthwaite, but it could be worth going all in on Everton defensively. It's certainly paid off recently. But if you want to diversify it, I'm not against that at all. Have Gabriel, bench Ryle, Ederson. I think I'd bench Ederson still, but Bournemouth are certainly capable of an upset, or of at least scoring a goal and causing problems. Son to KDB. I'd keep Son personally if possible, despite his lack of form. Nashmi says, should I start Maguire or Branthwaite? I'd go for Branthwaite. So just going to have a quick look at some polls I put out on my channel and see what you have voted. Be sure to subscribe and then check out, be sure to vote as well. That's also quite useful. But it mainly helps the community out. So one poll I put out was, which player would you bench? Fernandes, Gordon, or Jackson? And half of you have gone for Fernandes, and only 22% have gone for Gordon, which is what I've currently gone for. As for the captaincy, Haaland is winning the vote quite comfortably with 58%. Foden is second with 22%. Then Palmer is third with 14%. But yeah, I'll try to bring this up actually on screen just so you can see. Let's bring this up. All right, so yeah, that's the current poll. It relates to my situation and one that many Gameweek Faith Fav wildcarders will experience. Yeah, quite surprised to see Bruno that low, but it makes sense with the injury doubt. I personally think he will start. And now we have less than half an hour left. It's the friend trolling. All right, so let's get this show on the road. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and let's get this stream to 150 likes. And if we do, I'll be gifting 5 more memberships at the end of the stream. Bench 1, Garnacho or Jackson? I'd bench Garnacho. GT says starting Gordon over Son. Son has been horrendous for quite some time now, I agree. 0 shots against Chelsea or Newcastle, and has Liverpool away compared to Gordon's Burnley away. Yeah, and there's only, well, he had 2 shots against Arsenal. One of them he completely blazed over the bar, and the other was a penalty. Surely Gordon is the better pick. Thoughts? The thing is, though, Newcastle are a completely different beast away from home compared to at St James's Park, and Gordon suffers as a result in away matches. Only 3 returns all year on his travels. But Burnley definitely give up chances, and if Gordon was to return in any away game, I think Burnley is definitely one of the best chances he will have. Start Ederson or Raya, I've covered. Hey Dylan, start Munoz or Gusto, Pickford or Ederson? I'd go for Gusto just in case, but I don't think he'll play. And I would go for Ederson. Start Son or Garnacho? Son. Bench boost and triple captain left. Which Gameweek should I use? 40-point gap in my mini league. I really want to catch up. Bench boost 37 looks best for most people, and it probably does for you as well. And I triple captain this week, I believe, but I have to back. If I were you, I'd back your gut on that one in terms of triple captaining now or 38, but definitely bench boost and 37 for me. Jackson or Wood? Jackson. Yeah, right now Jackson Havertz is a better option than Saka, yeah. And it's been the case since, I'd say, December, actually. Why benching Gordon? I might change it, don't worry. Gabriel over White. Once again, there's not much in it. So I went for Gabriel for budget reasons. If I had unlimited funds or it wasn't an issue, I probably would have gone for White, but it really doesn't matter. Son or Gordon to start this game week? I'd still go for Son personally, but based on form, I mean, it's a very difficult to argue in Son's favour. Since Son is playing Liverpool, should I bring Havertz this week and then bring Son in next week? If you can do it for free, then yes, but I still like Son against Liverpool if he can actually have a good game for once, and that's the big question. Start 2, Son, Diaz or Burn? I'd go for Son and Diaz. I've just done Diaz, Mitchell, Nuri to Foden, Burn and Gavardio for a -a hit. Was it worth it? Well, we'll find out, right? But on paper, I'd say so. Diaz and Salah and all these Liverpool assets up front, I think they could do well against Spurs, but yeah, Foden's a massive upgrade. Concert to Burn for a -4. I'd only do that if you are struggling for that third defender this week. Start Tomiyasu, Maguire or Branthwaite. I'd go for Tomiyasu, but it is risky. Gusto to Cucurella or Gabriel White? I'd go to one of Gabriel White. Sell Mateta or Solanke for Isak? I'd sell Solanke. Why people benching Gordon for Jackson? Yes, but throughout the season, there's a clear pattern. Gordon does extremely well at home. You always start him. You might even captain him, and he'll perform for you. But away from home, 3 attacking returns all season. And I think most of them came in one game against Sheffield United. So it's up to you. You do what you want. I'm not saying I'm definitely benching Gordon, but I think there is a big reason why people are doing it. So let's go back to my team, and we will lock things in fairly soon. All right, that's all covered. Start Raya or Petrovic? Definitely Raya for me. Pranshu puts his team, suggest a bench boost in 37. Well, I would look to sell Solanke to one of Højlund, Isak. Well, no, you got Isak already. Isak and Watkins, no Haaland. Right, okay. Kivior is a problem for you. So is Neto. And I'd say Solanke could be improved upon. So I would do Solanke to one of Jackson or Højlund. I would maybe do Neto to Petrovic or Onana. And I would do Kivior to a Maguire, Dalot, Cucurella, and try to diversify your defence between Chelsea and Man United. But yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to do. Thank you, Lager. Good to see you. Yeah, just trying to skip the repeat questions, not going to lie. Start Maddison or Solanke? I'd start Solanke. Tomiyasu or Maguire, who to start? Covered. Tomiyasu. Petrovic or Onana? Onana this week. Bruno to KDB, Mitchell to Region, or keep Bruno and don't take a hit. Please help. I'd keep Bruno and not take a hit. Best defender for the rest of the season? It's between the Arsenal defenders, White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Gavardio, Walker. And if one of those C defenders starts every single game, I think they become the top pick, but it's not a guarantee. It really isn't. I'd say Gavardio for now, but that might not hold much weight by next week, basically. No Everton starting news. When I triple captain Salah, I got a grand total of 3 points. Thanks a lot, Mo. Yeah, it's been quite a dismal end to his... Well, it could potentially be at the end of his Premier League career. David Ornstein did suggest the other day that Salah could stay. But, yeah, he's been so disappointing recently. Play 1, Son or Mateta? Son. Who would you start, Garnacho or Jackson? I'd go for Jackson. My mini-league rival I'm chasing has Jackson, so leaning towards Garnacho. Fair enough. I can understand why you're thinking that way. But I personally just prefer Jackson this week, but I could be wrong. Okay, we do have a spammer in the midst, so let me just deal with this. Possible, if YouTube can actually not freeze. That would be nice. Okay. So we do have 23 minutes left until the deadline. Be sure to lock in your teams and get everything sorted. Yeah. I'm probably going to make a late change to my starting 11. Captaincy, I don't think so. I won't make a promise there, but I don't think I will. I'm more likely to change my bench and put Gordon in one of Bruno Fernandes, Jackson, or even Heung-min Son. So that's what it could come down to. 50 points behind in my mini league with the guy ahead having wildcarded basically the exact same team. Should I buy a differential or roll? And should I captain a differential? I think it's in your best interest to. If you still, want to claw this deficit, that is probably the best way to play it. And if you can, a De Bruyne this week or a Foden captain could be massive. I really back them. It is risky though, but higher risk and higher reward. That's the way I see it. As for buying a differential or rolling, depends which differential we're talking about. If it's Kevin De Bruyne, I'd probably say yes. Gvardiol or Burn, bearing in mind if Gvardiol doesn't play, then Van de Ven comes off the bench. I'd still go for Gvardiol. I think with Gvardiol, he starts this weekend, but he's benched in Gameweek Phase 7. That's the way I look at it. Still on my triple captain and bench boost. Who should I use the triple captain on this week? Foden and De Bruyne for me are the top two, but that's the way I see it. I think Palmer, Haaland, Saka would all be worthy, even Havertz. But I'd say Foden or De Bruyne. Start Petrovic or Onana this week. I would go for Onana. Saliba, Gvardiol, Maguire, Burn. If I bench one, which one? Maguire. Best Chelsea defender to bring in? Cucurella. Isak captain, good option, but not my favourite. Once again, that covers Rayhan's question 2. Have Virgil, Aït-Nouri and Gusto. Worth the -4 to swap one out. Yeah, I think so. I just don't see Gusto playing. You'll be down to 10 men, potentially. Or Aït-Nouri facing City away, / Van Dijk facing Tottenham at home. I'd probably sell Van Dijk there. Thank you very much, Prince Izzy. Very much appreciated. There is a minimum rest time for Spurs, thus can Spurs players provide? Well, they had the 2 weeks off for the North London derby and they still flopped, so I don't think that plays a big part. They're just in an awful period of form right now. Before that 2-week break, they lost 4-0 to Newcastle. Didn't have bench boost and triple captainship. Should I use triple captain on 37? Bench boost 38? Yeah, I'd bench boost in 37 and triple captain 38. You could even use it now, the triple captaincy. I captain Havertz, have fun, or likewise Fingon. I have Munoz and Branthwaite, so is it worth taking a -8 for Gvardiol? Branthwaite is good, so if you can start him and avoid the hit, then I'd do that. Start Edison or Raya. You have asked this question a lot, Adnan, and I have answered it a lot and highlighted it. Son locked in, now Gordon or Højlund? I'd go for Gordon. Play 4 from Gabriel, Branthwaite, Maguire, Burn, Gordon, Maddison. I'd play Gordon, I'd play Gabriel, Burn, and probably Branthwaite. You think Darwin starts? I think so, but it's not a guarantee. Neto, Udogi to Onana and Gvardiol for a -4. I have Maguire. I'm not sure if I do that. I see what you're doing, but if you've got a decent goalkeeper this week already, then I think that's fine. Tony to Haaland or Share to Gvardiol? Tony to Haaland, assuming you have a decent defender option to cover. I'd go for Foden captain, Dave. Start Garnacho or Gordon, I'd go for Gordon. Bench Haaland or Watkins, I would bench Watkins there, but honestly start both if you can. Good evening, Bruno or Gordon? My current preference is Bruno, but that might be my change. I might bring in Gordon for Bruno Fernandes. Let's wait and see. Share to Burn or Arsenal defender? I'd go for an Arsenal defender. What's your thoughts about triple Arsenal defence? Really good for Gameweek 36 and 38, not so much for 37. But Bournemouth and Everton are banana skin games. They really could cause problems. Is a -8 worth it with no chip? Depends on the context. Who do you sell? Who do you buy? But I think it can be worth it, yes. Best Chelsea defender to bring in? Cucurella, covered. Who to start, Munoz or Branthwaite? I'd go for Branthwaite. And who would you bench out of Son, Gordon and Mateta? Probably Mateta. When to use the triple captaincy? If you don't have the bench boost, you've got no other chips left, I'd use it in 37 for sure. But if you do have the bench boost in 37, then I'd probably use it now. I don't see Man United taking any points to Crystal Palace. Fair enough. I mean, based on current form, I can see why you say it, but I'm personally backing United to get something. Welcome, Alex. Good to see you. Hope you're well too. Gvardiol, Raya, Gabriel or Gabriel, Edison, White? I would go for Gvardiol, Raya, and Gabriel at this moment in time. Big Sam says next week Dubravka and Cucurella or Petrovic and defender. Newcastle defender. Already have Burn. I'd rather do Petrovic and a Newcastle defender, or get a defender based on the news you get over the next week, because Pope could be back and take Dubravka's spot from him. Hey Dylan, bench boost this weekend or leave it for 38? Leave it for Gameweek 37, where we got double Gameweeks left. The last double Gameweek of the season. -8 share to Gvardiol and turn it to Haaland, or just start Solanke and do one of them. I'd probably start Solanke and do one of them. Yeah, Son could be a little differential, yeah. I have Trent. Would you transfer to White? I have Gabriel bench boosting next week. Yes, but I think for Gameweek 35 wildcarders and 37 bench boosters, yeah, I think it could be worth just stacking up on double Gameweek defenders for now. And maybe, I mean, it depends on who you could get, but yeah, for Gameweek 36 and 38 looks great. Not so much for the bench boost, in my opinion. Share is 100% out for the rest of the season, right? If Eddie Howe can be believed, then yes. That's the big question. Sell Son for Bowen or Louise? Bowen. Tempted to captain Watkins away to Brighton. Yep, that looks fine. Also tempted to sell him to Haaland. I get that. I'd probably keep him. Is Cucurella a safe pick for double Gameweek 37? I believe so. Best defender for this Gameweek and next double Gameweek as well. Gvardiol, but will he start all the 3 games? I'm not so sure. Any forward options to take a punt? Rasmus Højlund, Callum Wilson, probably those two. Watkins or Foden or Isak for captain? Foden. Is Edison good to start? Yes. Will he start though? It's Pep Guardiola, isn't it? Yeah, FPL Challenge, I am playing it. I created a team. I'll try to show it soon. Captain Foden or Isak? I'd captain Foden. Keep Solanke or Tony for the rest of the season. I'd keep Solanke. Aleko says, good vibes come from you, I guess. Thank you very much. Does bench boosting this week make sense with Enzo, Areola, Aït-Nouri, or should I save it coupled with the wild card next week? Well, that's the problem, right? To be honest, Godson, I think I said it to you earlier. I'd wildcard now and I'd bench boost next week, because you can't use 2 chips at the same time, and I don't think bench boosting in Gameweek 38 is ideal. So if possible, I'd wildcard Gameweek 36 and bench boost in 37. Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I'll wait until the end of the deadline before I give 5 more memberships, and also until we get to 150 likes, and we are 33 away, so 23 away. My maths is a bit off. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. Thank you to those that send in super chats. All the channel members and patrons are massively appreciated as well. And yeah, a late change is possible. It really is. But at the moment, I'm staying put. Let's see how long that's going to last. I'm going to check Twitter and see if there's any news, but I very much doubt it. I will get something significant, especially relating to Man City, who play tomorrow around this time, I believe. But yeah, it'd be very, very strange to see that happen. But yeah, on Twitter, I see absolutely nothing. If you do see anything, be sure to let me know in the live chat with a link. That'd be massively appreciated. But yeah, let's see how that pans out. Right. Start 2, Cucurella, Maguire, and Burn. I would start Burn and probably Maguire. Branthwaite or Maguire. Branthwaite. Share to Gvardiol and bench Maguire. I'd probably roll. I think that could be more useful to you. Hi Dylan, hope all is good. Start Edison or Petrovic. I'm going for Edison. Wolves beat City. Maybe they win at home now also. Well, Wolves beat them at the Molineux. And yeah, that was part of the 3 games where Man City didn't have Rodri. They lost to Newcastle in the Carabao, lost to Arsenal and Wolves. At the Etihad, I see that's very difficult. But could City drop points? Maybe. But Gary O'Neill's not at the touchline because the Premier League decided to give him this 1-game ban now when they had 4 games to do it. And even beyond that, City, well, they're very likely to win this game regardless. So it's possible. Never say never, but I think if City were to drop points, I think Spurs away is the most likely. Start Mateta over someone like Gordon? I'd probably say no. Currently on Salah captain. It's different. I like it. I really back Salah this week. Will Haaland finish us? Hopefully not. It's annoying to always see someone I own still drop my rank. Yeah, it's become a big thing in the last 2 years. Keep Bruno and sell Gordon for Foden -4. Probably. But I still like Anthony Gordon, to be fair. On wildcard, Højlund or Jackson? Well, I pretty much put Jackson in that team. That's my slight preference. Tustapaki says Petrovic, Akanji, Burn, Gabriel, Palmer, Son, Gordon, Saka, Foden, Haaland, Captain, Isak, bench, Anana, Manice, Pedro Porro, Gusto. Probably roll. Yeah, I think so. I'm not so sure about all Man City defenders, but Akanji is one of those doubts. If he starts, I think you're pretty well set up this week. If he doesn't play, you're going to get Pedro Porro off your bench, which isn't ideal, but the rest looks very solid. I think I'd stick with that. Foden, Isak, or Palmer captain? Foden for me. I mean, I've been saying it all day. I've talked about it since the team selection. Who's the second best goalkeeper? Have Petrovic, can't get Edison. I'd say Onana or Raya. Probably in that order. Play Gordon or Garnacho. You know my thoughts on this. I've covered it to death. Anthony Gordon. Dalot and Foden in for a -4 worth it? Yes. I'm just wondering who you're selling for that. Say free transfer or transfer out Gusto. I have Burn, Gavadio, Gabriel and Borro on the bench. I'd save the free transfer, I think. Yeah, you've got Burn on the bench as well, who could easily start for you this week. So I'd definitely roll. Captain Isak or Haaland? Haaland. Dylan, who's the best share replacement if you already have triple City and 2 United defenders for under 5.7 million? Cucurella would definitely enter my thinking, but probably Dan Burn. What do you think about triple captaining Haaland this weekend? It's not a bad shout at all, and that's one way of gaining something over the template Haaland captainers. Bench Isak or Son? I'd bench Son. 60 points behind 2 players in mini league. One has Son, both have Isak. Yeah, I'd still bench Son, I think. Thank you, Redda. Thanks for the tips. Thank you very much for the kind words. Manice to Jackson for a -4. Yes. Start Edison or Pickford. I'd go for Edison. Do you think Liverpool can be considered out of the title race? They need Arsenal to drop points in, what, 2 or 3 games? Same with City. It's not going to happen. If it was a 1v1 battle, let's say, and there weren't 3 teams in it, then maybe they still have a chance, but it's very, very unlikely. Almost impossible, I think. Start Son or Bruno? Bruno. Start Burn or Pau Torres? Burn. Best captain, Foden, Haaland, Palmer, Saka. Foden for me. Bench 1, Joao Pedro, Garnacho, Bruno Fernandes. I'd bench Joao Pedro. Romero or Dalot transfer in for the next 3 weeks? I'd say Romero, you know. This week looks awful, but Burnley at home and Sheffield United away. I think Spurs keep a clean sheet in one of them, at least, and Romero's got attacking potential. Haaland or Palmer captain? Palmer. Gordon or Eze, who to start? Gordon. Good luck, everyone. See you in Double Gameweek 37. Likewise. With Bench Boost 37, I'm left with 36 or 38 for triple captain, Foden and Haaland against Wolves or West Ham, both at home. They typically have a better record against West Ham, to be fair. Now, Mikel Antonio spoke and said, you know, they've still got something to play for. At the Etihad, he was kind of bigging themselves up and saying Arsenal would win the title if it goes to the last game of the season. I don't know. Whenever Antonio says something, it tends to be the opposite. But yeah, West Ham's the better fixture, I think, for Man City. But I really like Foden and De Bruyne and even Haaland this week. 1 defender slot left for Bench Boost 37. Have Burn, Gabriel, Gavadio, Van der Ven, Petrovic, and Onana. Right. Okay. I'd probably go for a second. Yeah, maybe a Cucurella would come in for you, or Cucurella, a Dalot or Maguire. It's not ideal to double up on those teams. Maybe go for your team and go for Branthwaite. Back the clean sheet against Sheffield United at home. Start Petrovic or Dubravka. I'd probably go for Petrovic. Top 5 essentials this week. I would go for You know what? Petrovic or Dubravka? Maybe Dubravka. It's very close. I don't back any of them for a clean sheet. Top 5 essentials, I'd say at least one Man City attacker. Preferably a double up in the attack. So pick 2 from De Bruyne, Foden and Haaland. An Arsenal attacker. I know it's essential, but I don't even have that. So I'd say a Saka or Havertz. I'd also say Cole Palmer. He's been an essential for a long time now. And I'd say an Arsenal defender. I think that's kind of what I'd go for. Should I free hit in 37 or 38? I did cover your question, Diogo. My personal preference was to use it in 37. Why Maguire Vidallo? He's in better form, and he's also got a great record in terms of scoring goals recently. And he was on course for bonus points when United had the clean sheet against Burnley. And it's been the case in the last couple of games for Manchester United. Yep, exactly. West Ham have a poor record at the Etihad. They struggle to score there, and Man City tend to score quite a lot at will. Therefore, Liverpool will now have nothing to play for. Well, also the pressure's off, so it kind of goes both ways. The same goes for Everton as well. I think Everton might score more goals but concede more at the back now that they're safe and have nothing to play for per se. As for Liverpool, I still think they'd want to give Klopp something. You know, I know it's not really what they wanted to, but Carabao Cup and at least salvaging some pride. And just the way Tottenham are defending, I think Salah could destroy them. Captain Saka or Palmer? Yeah, I think you're right to think about Saka. He's a great option, but I'm going to stick with Palmer. Top 5 captains this week. Foden, De Bruyne, Palmer, Saka and Haaland is probably my top 5. No transfer really. I was looking at a goalkeeper move, but I've got Petrovic in goal to come in if needed. Ederson could even start. I'd want to roll if possible, so KDB or Foden? I prefer Foden in general, so that's my answer. Ederson playing, it's a possibility, not set in stone, but it looks good for double Gameweek 37. I'm just worried about the constant injuries. Hoping for a title race up until Gameweek 38 then, so Haaland has to play and score a lot. Good luck everyone, have fun, and back on Tuesday for more UCL Fantasy. Saludos. Yeah, that is the plan. UCL Fantasy, another quick turnaround. The end of the season is almost upon us. I'm hoping Haaland blanks for the rest of the season, but that's not going to happen. Start Petrovic or Onana? I said Onana earlier, but it's quite tricky. I'd probably go for Onana still. Bruno or Son, who is essential for wildcard 36? I don't think any of them are essential per se, but I'd pick Son because of the Burnley and Sheffield United fixtures. All right, so we have covered hundreds of questions today, as always. One late move, am I going to make it? I think it's possible. I might bring in Mr. Anthony Gordon. Still see nothing on Twitter. Don't expect to see anything whatsoever. This could definitely come back to buy me, won't it? Anthony bloody Gordon. Typically, I'm quite comfortable with starting him in home matches, benching him away, but I don't know. I do feel a bit differently this week, I will admit that. But that's the problem with a front 8 like this. You're going to have benching headaches every single week, and it could definitely backfire. But yeah. Maybe Bruno Fernandes missing out could be a blessing in disguise for me, but he's got until Monday to make up for that. And yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. So we've literally got just over 3 minutes left until the deadline. Be sure to lock in your teams. And yeah, pretty much every single question has been covered already. If I'm able to, I'll go for a quick one now in like a minute or two's time. But yeah, can't guarantee you anything whatsoever. But yeah, I'm probably going to give it a good think about this last captaincy dilemma. I think I'll stick with Foden, Palmer Vice. And then, yeah, it's just down to this last player in my starting 11. Let's see if we can answer anything very quickly. Any 5.4 million striker. João Pedro, who has a double. And then you're looking at Mateta. Is Foden starting? I believe so. Otherwise, he would be my captain. Share Bradley or Gusto to burn. I would rather sell Share. Start Bruno or Son. I think I'm leaning more towards Son now. I think if I were to drop somebody, it would be Bruno Fernandes. Trust me on Havertz captain. Yeah, I'm not against it. I just don't have Havertz myself to even consider it. Captain Palmer or Haaland? I'd go for Palmer. It's up to you. Dylan, sell Bruno to Havertz. If you can buy Bruno back for free, then yes. Otherwise, if it incurs hits, then no. Captain change? I don't think so. It's risky, but yeah, I think I'm going to stick with this. I haven't really paid too much attention to records. You know, I typically do that, you know, between a certain club and maybe looking at captaincy choice. I don't think Foden has a particularly great record against Wolves, although I might be wrong about that. So the last time it was 3-0. Yeah, it was an Erling Haaland hat-trick, wasn't it? Oh, Jesus, that's not really helped looking at that. That really hasn't helped, I'm not going to lie. I actually forgot about that. Yeah, we don't talk about that over here. Obviously, before that, you had the De Bruyne 4 goals. And we had another 3-0. Foden, Haaland, and Grealish all scored. Yeah, interesting times ahead, right? Interesting times ahead. But I think I'm going to stick with Foden. I really do. And if anything, I think Gordon does come in for Bruno Fernandes. I think that's the one change I'm going to make. Yeah. It's just, I'm too uncomfortable benching Gordon this week. Bruno Fernandes' yellow flag. I think he will start, by the way, but that already kind of swings it towards him. Otherwise, I probably would have benched Jackson. But yeah, I'm going to stick with that. One late change, Gordon in for Bruno. But as I mentioned throughout the whole stream, a late change was possible. Captain on Foden, and Palmer is my vice. I'm hoping Haaland stays quiet and Foden could do the business. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that. Start Son or Jackson? Son. What if Foden's benched? Well, it is what it is. Saka record not good versus Bournemouth. He scored in the reverse fixture, but yeah, it's typically Odegaard who steps up against Bournemouth. Captain White, believe me. Yeah, just captaining defenders I'm not a big fan of. Best of luck, Dylan. See you next time, boss. Thank you very much, Bassett. Captain Salah differential or Palmer Haaland? I would have gone for Palmer. Son is a ghost, harder than Haaland in big games. Well, Son has a good record against certain big clubs, but yeah, I mean, with Spurs in general, they typically fade when it comes down to crunch time. It's something we've always seen. Martinez or Pope? I mean, they're both injury doubts, right? Pope is just coming back from an injury. Martinez could be available, but I'd pick Pope. But will he even play? Who knows? As for who's the better goalkeeper overall, it's obviously Martinez. Petrovic or Onana? I would have gone for Onana this week. I think this is the first time this season you're ranked above me. Good luck for this week. Likewise. Jackson is just bad man. Or he's a bad man, if you know what I mean. Thank you, Dergish. Foden 2 goals versus Wolves in 5 games. Yeah, it's not great, is it? But I'm just hoping for the best there. I just think this season Foden's been far more convincing than Haaland. You've got the midfielder advantage as well. I kept switching to the point I don't even know who I benched. That's not a good thing. Thank you, Goss Dude. All the best to you as well. I'm triple captaining Foden this week. I definitely wish you the best there, although I wouldn't mind a Foden blank and a City loss, but that's asking for too much. I captain Isak. Thoughts? It's a good option. I've talked about him a lot in the last couple of weeks, last few months. He's been in great form. Bradley is fit. Can he start next game week? Yep. He definitely could. I captain Palmer. Good luck, Dylan. Good luck to you as well, Mohammed. Locked in, says Chelsea's finished. I'm chasing you, Dylan, says Wayseng. Took out Bruno for Foden. Kept Son in the hopes with Van Dijk's absence he can score. Yeah, no, I think Son could deliver regardless, even if Van Dijk is in there. And yeah, I took out Bruno as well. It might backfire, but let's wait and see. Cylindra says locked, decided to captain Foden and kept Tony for another week. Hope it goes well. Good luck, Dylan. Likewise to you. Elliot puts his team. Please can I have a green arrow for once. Yeah, you've had a rough time recently. Hopefully you can get a green arrow. And with that team, you should do, I think. You should. 2 points per shot. They've been paying attention to Haaland and Liverpool games. Yeah, I've got them in my... Well, do I have Liverpool players? No, I don't have Liverpool players, but I have Haaland. That's for sure. And he's my captain there. Captain Foden. Vice Haaland. Yeah, I went for Palmer Vice. I'm just hoping Haaland stays quiet, but he scored a hat-trick last time out. Yeah, Haaland 4 goals in 3 games versus Wolves. Watkins masterclass incoming. I hope not. Having Garnacho, Son, Palmer, Saka, Gordon has blocked me from Foden. Yeah, that's not ideal. I think Garnacho's the one you'd want to offload there. It's scary not having triple City. Yeah, I'm still hoping it flops though. I really am. Yeah, I'll go for my predictions, and you can go from them as well. Chelsea's finished. Who do you think will win Ballon d'Or? Bellingham. I don't think it's particularly deserved. I said this in recent streams as well. He hasn't been that good in the second half of the season, especially in these big knockout games in the Champions League. If anything, you'd probably give it to Vinicius, but I think Rodri, like, when I say Vinicius, by the way, I mean amongst Madrid players, but I really think Rodri should probably win it. And the same goes for the Premier League player of the season, not Foden, but it's the way I see it. How's your team for FPL Challenge, Dylan? I'll show it very soon. Step by step, couldn't believe I was stuck at 1 to 2 million rank at the first half of the season, and now I'm literally at 100k. Good stuff. Trent may be worth it for your challenge, Dylan. Yeah, but he's far too expensive. It limits my other areas. It's a good shout, but I mean, look, even Van Dijk, for example, most shots this season, if he does play, but yeah, I don't want to go for Liverpool defenders. Hey, Dylan, what would you pay for Bellingham if he was at Liverpool? No, don't get me wrong, Bellingham's a quality player. He's worth a lot of money, but I just don't think he's worth... You shouldn't win the Ballon d'Or this season. Did you roll? Yes. And Musiala, if he was at Man City, well, whether they're in the Premier League or not, whether at Bayern and Madrid, I mean, they're easily both worth 100 million in today's market. This is the first time in a while Juan, Cunha and Sarabia are all fit to start, so I wouldn't go for Gvardiol. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm hoping Wolves have something for me. I really am. But I think City will win. Change captain for Foden to Palmer last second. Hope it pays off. Well, maybe both of them will. Not gonna lie, not having Watkins and seeing him getting points makes me want to cry. I hate that guy FPL-wise. Don't get me started. I was thinking FPL prices. Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I don't think Musiala will be that high for me because he doesn't get that many goals or assists. I mean, in the Champions League, yeah, he won a penalty the other day, but he hasn't scored since match day 3. Amazing dribbler, amazing player. I rate him very highly, but FPL-wise, I don't think he'll be that good. Maybe at Man City takes that next step up in terms of those contributions. But yeah, I think Bellingham would be 11 million. Yeah, probably at least 11 to 12 million. And Musiala, I think, would be around 9 to 9.5. Did share to Gvardiol. Thoughts, Dylan? Yeah, looks good. As I keep on saying with Gvardiol, though, and all Man City players, I think there could be rotation at some point. So let me go for my predictions, and then I'll go for my FPL Challenge team to wrap things up. And by the way, as I mentioned earlier, let me just check if we're on 150 likes. Yeah, once we get to 150 likes, we're 5 away. I'm going to be gifting 5 more memberships for those that are still tuning in. So let's go to the fixtures. Luton Town versus Everton. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Everton. Arsenal Bournemouth. Oof. It's going to be a tough game. I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal. Brentford Fulham. 1-1. Burnley versus Newcastle. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Newcastle. Sheffield United against Nottingham Forest. I'm going to go for 3-2 Nottingham Forest. Man City Wolves. Probably going for a 2-0 Man City, you know. Brighton versus Aston Villa. It could be goals in this one. I'm going for another 3-2, this time in Aston Villa's favour. You know what? I'm going for 4-2 Aston Villa. Let's go for some more goals. Chelsea West Ham. I think it'll be a cagey game. Very, very close. But I'm going to go for Chelsea 2-1. Liverpool Spurs. I'm going for 3-1 Liverpool. And Crystal Palace Manchester United. This is a tough game to predict. I'm going to go for a 1-1. So there you go. Those are my predictions. And let's now go to Fantasy Challenge. So, oh, this would be the right one. All right, so, yeah, you might have a lot of questions. What is this? Why are you doing this? But I've gone for Ortega Moreno. I'll probably change this. And Raya as my goalkeepers. Gabriel, White, and Gvardiol as my back three. With Palmer, Saka, Foden, Havertz as the midfield four. Jackson, Haaland, and Isak up front. And my bench comprises of Raya, Burn, Branthwaite, and Garnacho. But I think there could be a few changes in store. Remember, this week, every shot counts for 2 points. So the likes of Haaland, Darwin Nunez, Jackson could all be great. Mohamed Salah, even Bukayo Saka. Luis Diaz challenged top 3 shot take in the league. Yeah, Diaz is a good shout, to be fair. I like that. I had Palmer captain all week, but changed to Haaland today, as Palmer played 90 on Thursday, and Poch did take Palmer off around 70 minutes against Sheffield United. Yeah, he didn't look great in the last couple of games, but I still think Palmer against West Ham is a great option. Yeah, Haaland looked very sharp against Forest coming off the bench, but I'm just hoping he can stay quiet. Is Darwin the best captain for challenge this week? I want to say he's the best captain, but it's a shout. Wow, Luton 3, Everton 1, Arsenal 4, Bournemouth 0. Give me that all day long. What? City 3, Wolves 3? I mean, yeah, if that happens, mate, you deserve a race. A promotion at work, all of that. 0-0 between Sheffield United and Forest. 3-3, Brentford Fulham. 0-0, Burnley Newcastle. Yeah, a lot of 3-3s and 0-0s. Yeah, I mean, I wish that would happen. So, was this 5-4 Liverpool, 3-0 Brighton against Villa, 3-2 Chelsea, and 3-2 Palace? Let's wait and see. Hopefully one of them is right, at least. I think, yeah, I'm hoping the Arsenal and City ones are right if I had to pick. As a midfielder, Diaz most shots, yep. Maybe. I don't know. With Liverpool, they look very toothless up front. I do back them to score a lot of goals against Spurs. And I think Diaz and Salah obviously will be instrumental to that, but who knows? I think after I see the lineups, I can make a final decision. But by that stage, if I keep the likes of Havertz and Saka, I might not have that room for manoeuvre. But Haaland captain in FPL Challenge is quite locked in, but I did captain Foden in the main game. But I think Ortega, also Garnacho, Branthwaite, they're the most likely to be offloaded, and maybe a change in the midfield as well. So let's now go back to my team. So from the team selection, I rolled a transfer. I started Edison, and Petrovic is ready to come on if needed. Burn, Maguire, and Gabriel is my backline, with Palmer, Son, Foden, and Gordon, who is coming for Bruno Fernandes as a late change. Haaland, Isak, and Jackson up front. Foden's my captain, and Palmer is my vice. Bruno Fernandes first sub, Dallo in second. And of course, Borro there in last. He's been pretty useless recently. But yeah, we're literally 1 like away now from 150. And once we get to that, I'll be gifting 5 memberships. Thank you, Nucleams. Cheers to you as well. I think 4-3 Liverpool Tottenham. That's a good prediction. I like that. I'm thinking of getting Haaland, Darwin, Isak, by the way. Yeah, this is FPL Challenge, right? If so, I think that's a good front three for the game mode. I meant 5 Villa against Brighton. Fair enough. Take Crystal Palace players. Yeah, I mean, FPL Challenge maybe, but not for me in terms of the main game. Yeah, United's faced the most shots in the Prem. In this calendar year, I think they're second, just behind Sheffield United. If not, they're right up there, but they have been awful. I personally think they should have fantasy for all major leagues. I would play them all. Oh man, one's already bad enough. Then you've got UCL fantasy, Euro fantasy football in the summer, World Cup fantasy every 4 years. I'm kind of good with what we have, to be fair. Good luck with Foden captain. KDB is mine. Going for glory. Yeah, if Man City were to win, hopefully it's those two that do the goods and not Erling Haaland, but it's a tough ask. Yeah, courage. I think we've got it by now. I'll check now. Thank you to Mark Kichu as well. Twister Parky says Raya, Trent, Gavardio, White, Foden, Diaz, Palmer, Havertz, Haaland, Isak, Manice, benches Pickford, Tarkovsky, Burn, and Barkley in challenge. Looks solid. Yeah, you've got a lot of good shot takers in there, which I like. Looks pretty well set up, to be fair. I think that's pretty good. Should Petrovic or Onana start? I would have gone for Onana, but not by much. Switching Saka to KDB since I don't have Haaland thoughts. I'd keep Saka. I play many fantasy games. FPL just hits differently. My favourite is UCL Fantasy. I just think it's the game with maybe not until the end. So at this stage of the competition, semi-finals and final, it can get a bit template. But for most of the season, you see a lot of variety. And yeah, I just think it's a better game than FPL personally. Thank you, Wasif. Mithan says for next week, Yeah, for next week, fair enough. I think Saka to KDB looks really good for Gameweek 37, but I also like Saka against Everton at home for the final game of the season. Foden captain crew, show your hands. Well, I'm one of them, and we'll see if we're showing any hands by the end of this weekend. Just tuned in, why Foden over Haaland captain? I just think Foden's been much more consistent than Haaland throughout the whole season. Now, I have to say, in the last few minutes, I reminded myself that Haaland scored a hat-trick the last time at the Etihad against Wolves, but I just think Foden is that difference maker. If Wolves play that low block or that mid block, I think Foden is the key to unlocking it. With Haaland, though, there's a lot of reliance there on the service. Look, Haaland is always a great captaincy choice, but I just think Foden, for me, has been a better FPL option this season. Good luck as well, Wei saying. If I knew Foden was playing, I would have gone there. Yeah, it might be a risk, a really big risk, but I just think Foden, whenever he's fit and available, plays, and he was ill a few days ago. And yeah, we'll just wait and see. I've gone Foden, and I agree with you, Dylan. Of course, there's no set formula. It could be Haaland absolutely blistering it this week, maybe both of them blank, and we see someone else entirely like De Bruyne do really well. Well, wasting, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, getting Jackson is quite aggressive, but I just go for what I believe. I don't look at anybody else, and sometimes it just seems like I go for the kind of no-brainer picks, the sensible picks, the logical options, and it turns out that most people do it. Let's wait and see. I just hope that Haaland blanks. Thank you to those that like the stream. I'll be gifting 5 memberships now. Just got to load up the browser and load up the stream on a different source to be able to do it. So just give me a second. I'll be gifting 5 memberships. So thank you to those that have been tuning in for the past few hours. It has gone by very quickly. We start at 4 p.m. and we're close to 7 p.m. UK time. So here we go. Let's see who gets them. They are randomly allocated. I click a button and then we'll see who has been gifted the memberships. So let's give a shout out to Twisted Parky 06. Chelsea is finished. Gary, William Pritchard, and Linus K. I believe some of them have been gifted memberships before, especially Twisted Parky and Gary, I believe, but well deserved. Enjoy the memberships and the early access to my videos amongst all the other perks. Do you get angry if people copy your team or move? Some content creators do. I don't say get angry, but in UCL Fantasy, for example, I mean, I noticed like hundreds, even thousands potentially just copy my team, and not just for one game week. It's like every single move I make. And that's why sometimes when I play the wild card or the limitless or there's unlimited transfers, I don't show my team until the very end, and I save that for members and patrons, because otherwise hundreds of people have the same team as me. And I don't say I get angry, but I'd rather people do something different. You know, it's, you limit yourself when you copy someone else. Ball recovery points is required in FPL. I think it would help for all positions, even forwards. It gives another dimension to the game. And for example, when you're looking at Van Dijk or Trent, most people go for Trent in this game, but with ball recoveries, you think about Van Dijk as well. Foden to run the show. Yeah, I mean, my kind of hope is something entirely different. I hope all Man City players blank, but if someone was to deliver, I hope it's Foden. Wasif, let's go. Hope I get it. Yeah, like I said, it's randomly allocated, so yeah, unfortunate about that. But I'm not sure what YouTube do. I don't know if it's based on recent messages. I don't think it is, but I'll have a look. Use Your Fantasy is also my favorite, top tier. Yeah, same here. It's probably my favorite fantasy game as well. What's your thoughts on Sancho's performance and the PSG game overall? Sancho played very well. No goals or assists, but that's a performance that shows you don't need goal contributions to have a great game. I think he completed 12 dribbles. Now, do I think Sancho will replicate that form or go back to United? No. I think he should stay at Dortmund, but let's see what happens there. As for the PSG game, yeah, I thought it'd be a draw or a narrow Dortmund win. I still think PSG go through. Thank you to Stepaki. If people just copy, why play? Pointless. Yeah, I agree. Of course, sometimes you can take inspiration or, you know, go for similar picks. You know, I'm not going to trademark or copyright certain players, but whenever every single pick is copied, every single transfer, you know, playing the limitless and wildcard in a certain week, that's, yeah, it's do your own thing. Dylan, I can smell a 30-pointer by Haaland. 30 points, that'd be like, what, 5 goals or 6 goals? That's not happening. I don't like seeing content creators get angry at people copying their moves because they made that choice in the first place to make their team and transfers public. Yeah, that's fair. Like I mentioned, I don't get angry. I personally prefer people not to copy, or at least not hundreds of people doing the exact same thing as you. And that's why I do the things I do sometimes to prevent it from happening on a mass scale. It is what it is. We all have our own opinions on that. I'm definitely not going to get angry about it. I couldn't care less. Hopefully I break into the top 10k before the season ends after a bad few weeks in progress. Yeah, good luck, Twisted. I hope you do really well there. And not sure exactly what rank you're at right now, but it's possible. Doubtful this late. You never know. We'll try the membership next stream. Yeah, it's every month where I can gift 10 memberships, so it'll be this time next month, but by that point, there's no more FPL and no more UCL Fantasy, I believe. We might have the Champions League final, but yeah, if I do Euro Fantasy football content, and I'll keep you updated on that, you can definitely be given some memberships there. Manure can't treat Sancho correctly. It might go both ways, though. But there is a history of Ten Hag and not getting the best out of players and falling out with the highest earners. PSG just don't deserve it, even to get out from the group, but that's football. Well, yeah, against Newcastle, obviously they got a very soft pen at the end. And against Barcelona, that red card changed the game, but Barcelona were naive. They crumbled. You know, they still could have gone through from that position, and they completely wilted. Yeah, ultimately PSG won't win it anyway, in my opinion. It will be Real Madrid for a 15th time, which is a bit boring. It would be nice to see Dortmund win it or something a bit different. PSG versus Dortmund was the funniest and craziest game I've ever watched. Even Madrid versus Real at the Bernabeu this year wasn't this crazy. I'm guessing that's Barcelona versus Madrid or something else, or City. Example, I watch a lot of content, but mostly Dylan, and I'm doing better than most of them because I don't copy. That said, I'll probably be poo next year. Yeah, exactly. When you copy other people, you limit yourself to how well they do, and you're always one step behind. Care less. Yeah, I said it in the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer style. Couldn't care less. I'm at rank 23k. Yeah, good stuff. It's definitely possible. I didn't care that I didn't have Vinicius UCL Fantasy. We got the draw against Bayern, and the good thing about UCL Fantasy for now is they don't record history, so it feels like a one-off. Yeah, I kind of know my ranks anyway because I make videos and streams, but yeah, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't care, and I wouldn't even make a note of it. UCL Finals on the June the 1st. Yeah, it'd be just before the next stream, basically, by that stage, by the June. So, I meant City versus Madrid. Yeah, that was a crazy game as well. It was a good game. The quarterfinals were, you know, amazing for me. It's very hard to kind of top that. Imagine Frimpong in FPL as a defender. Yeah. Depends on which team he joins, though. Because if it's Man United, no thanks. But if it's like a Liverpool, Man City, then it could look great. Bench boost next week, hopefully some good luck. Yeah, I mean, the bench boost will be massive, I think, and that could be enough to get you into the top 10k, or perhaps higher. Hoping for a 5-digit rank finish. Yeah, I'm looking to get into the top 100k. We'll see how that goes. It's been a poor season for me. It will probably be my worst ever rank, but still not too bad. Who are you backing to win Euro 2024? I think with Euros, it's always kind of balanced. You never get a standout unless there's very few exceptions. Like back in the day, 2008 and 2012, I knew Spain would win it. But after that, it becomes very difficult to predict. Portugal are looking good, but I'd also look at France and England, dare I say. It's just with England, it's the mentality and the manager. I always think they lack that something, that mentality to get over the line. But on paper, I think England do have the best team. My triple Dortmund defense paid off. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Kobel in goal. He's been amazing this season in the Champions League. Hi, Dylan. I have Isak Captain. Your thoughts? I've been asked a lot about Isak Captain, and I've always been quite complimentary about it. He's not my favourite, but I think he'll do well. All right, who can go the furthest? Yeah, I think those teams would be the same. So France, England, Portugal. I think they'll probably make the semi-finals, depending on the draw. We always get a surprise there, don't we? I'm looking at the other teams. There's not many standouts, I'd say. Yeah, I think those are the three I'd probably say. If I had to pick a fourth one, I'll go for a Germany, but not so sure. There is copying, and then there is copying everything a creator does. My team on FPL Live is considered to have no other teams the same. Yeah, look, we all have our different opinions about it, but I do think copying every single thing is a bit daft, but everyone plays the game the way they want. Courage laughs at Southgate, fair enough. Look, he's done a good job at England, but in terms of getting them over the line, I just don't see him as being that manager. Thank you, Leonardo. Cheers to you as well. I had Hummel, Schlotterbeck and Kobel. They saved my day. Also, thankfully, I didn't switch the captain from Kane to Mbappe. Yeah. At this stage, even in the quarterfinals, if you get 6-7 points, you stick. Luckily, I captained Vinicius, so there was no chance I was going to change that, but yeah, you take what you can get. Vinicius captain again for the second leg, or Rodrigo. I still back Vinicius, but I can see why you're thinking about going different this time. Will Vinicius do that well in back-to-back games against Bayern? Maybe not. Germany has a good chance. Yeah, I don't think they're great, but I think they're building something in the future, and I hope they don't, but Germany are always up there. Mr. Deadline, I think Foden, Haaland my captain. Yeah, well, whoever it is, it's a good option on paper, but we'll see how it goes. Now, no template pick. Who's your Morocco? Well, I'd say Germany is the dark horse. I know they're a big name. They've won so many Euros and trophies in the past, but they aren't really thought about too much as a competitor for the Euros, so I'm going to go for Germany. Vinicius Rodrigo's a cheat code. Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not a big fan of those two players. I think in the Champions League they perform. There's no doubt about it. But for Brazil, they haven't done it yet. You could argue Brazil are really poor, but they were, well, they have been for many years, but Neymar's been great for them. Yeah, in the Champions League, I agree. They're a cheat code. I just don't particularly rate either player that much. Dylan, what rank you in? UCL, I think I'm at 13k. I went up in rank to around 2,000-ish. I need to double check that. You'll see in the next stream. I already updated the graphics and stuff. Lager says, defenders to focus on in double game week phase 7, other than Man City and Man United. Would Chelsea be too weak in the back because of the injuries, or is Cucurella, Chalobah good options? Yeah, I'd probably look at a Cucurella or a Dan Burn. My favourite way of covering Chelsea defensively is Petrovic, but yeah, I'd probably go for Cucurella there and maybe Dan Burn. I back Italy as my dark horse. Yeah, that could be a shout. I just think I don't see them winning back-to-back Euros. I really don't. Tony Kroos Masterclass. Yeah, he's also back. That's a massive boost for them. Revenge for no World Cup, says Courage. What's your peak rank in FPL and UCL Fantasy? In UCL Fantasy, I think it's around 700, 800 in the world. In FPL, my peak rank was 13k, I believe. I'm looking to improve upon that at some point. FPL Bacon is in top 200, yeah. Yeah, I followed him on Twitter. He's a funny chap, isn't he? Yeah, he's having a great season. You just remind me about that. I see, thanks, says Lager. I'm trying to think of other people, but yeah, I think Dan Burn and Cucurella would be my top picks. I think with Mbappe in, we are getting a Madrid team that will last 5 to 10 years. Yeah, look, Madrid, obviously, in club football, there's no doubt about it, especially in the Champions League, but I don't know. I personally kind of find it a bit boring that in the Champions League we have such a dominant team. It would be nice to see some variety, but it is what it is. Carvalho back is a major boost to Madrid. Also think Camavinga will start this game. Yeah, Madrid are going through. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Even if they lost the first leg against Bayern, yeah, Madrid are going through. Dan Burn is a good pick, I agree. Yeah, he's not amazing, but look, you could also say the same thing about him, right? Newcastle have so many injuries and so many problems that it could go backwards, but yeah, I think it should be fine. It should. So thank you to those that have tuned in today. We have been streaming for, well, we're gonna get to 3 hours, and yeah, 3-hour stream is a bit mad, isn't it? But we've done it plenty of times in the past. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. The answer solved my problems at least. Yeah, but we'll reassess this in a couple of days' time, going into Game Week Phase 7. 90 minutes in Bernabeu is a very long time. Yes, indeed. Harry Kane needs to win a trophy. He won't this year, but I think he will next season. What do you suggest, says Wasif? I can get Bruno next week, and then I'll have Areola, Neto, Gabriel, White, Romero, Estupinian, Van Dijk, Palmer, Saka, Foden, Gordon, Son, Haaland, Cunha, Solanke. Are you bench boosting? That's kind of what I'm wondering about, but yeah, it's a good squad. Your goalkeepers is the biggest weak link, in my opinion. I'd also look at improving Estupinian and Van Dijk. Your forward line is good. Yeah, no bench boost, so you don't need to really worry about that, do you? Yeah, I'd probably make a goalkeeper change, get a double game goalkeeper in there. Start Romero, Gabriel White for now, but you could make a defender change if possible. In the forward line, yeah, Palmer, Saka, Foden, Gordon. Basically, yeah, I think I'd make a forward change in your situation. So Solanke to a Højlund, Jackson, or preferably Isak. That would be what I'd want to do. So Solanke to Isak, a goalkeeper like Petrovic, Onana in there, and maybe your third move could be either another forward or even better still, I think, a defender. And in this case, I would be looking at Gvardiol or a Dalot or a Maguire if you go for Petrovic in goal. England team news, yeah, I'm not going to go through that. I'm not even an England fan, to be honest. I mean, they got a good team and everything, but yeah, I don't know the ins and outs about England like many of you would. Do you know anything about Kiwior starting tomorrow? I very much doubt it. Look, I did say this last time and he started and played quite well against Wolves. But yeah, Arsenal have a fully fit squad. I think Tomiyasu is the main choice at left back and he'll probably play against Man United. So in these home games against Everton and Bournemouth, yeah, Kiwior could play, but I couldn't, you know, absolutely guarantee it. It is for the other fantasy game, you know. Yeah, I understand that. It's just, I'm not too sure. I'd probably get it wrong either way. Take care and thanks for all the help. Thank you, Godsent. See you there, Lager and Dylan. Thank you, Wei Seng. So no Bruno. I should get goalkeeper. I am level with friend in mini league, so can't hit only one free transfer. Yeah, well, in that case, it's probably best to forget about the goalkeeper. Go for a forward. Because I'm trying to think, because if you were to go for Bruno Fernandes, you'd have Haaland, right? Isn't it? And you've got Solanke and Cunha, who you'd probably want to bench in Gameweek 37, especially Solanke, I'd say. I mean, that's debatable, to be fair. That is a tricky one. I'd probably focus on the midfield and forward line, to be honest. I think Bruno's a fine shout, and you might even need to get a defender. You're saying no hits, but I think the hits can pay off. Look at the 2020 Euro England's lineup. Shameful lineup with 5 defenders and 2 defensive mids. Yeah, look, balance is very important in a team, and I've seen some people say, oh, just play Palmer, Saka, Foden, Bellingham, and all these players, Rice, Kane at the same time. That might not be the best team, but yeah, England, Southgate is a very pragmatic manager. 1 Arsenal defender for bench boost in Gameweek Phase 7. Any of them are good. Gabriel, Saliba, White. I wouldn't go for Kiwior or Tomiyasu. I think rotation is a problem there. But yeah, any Arsenal defender is fine. If you want to maximise the doubles, then you know my thoughts. Dalot, Gvardiol, Walker, Maguire. Pick one of each team. Cucurella from Chelsea. I'd also look at Burn from Newcastle. They're all good options. Sell Neto as Travers seems to be starting as Neto has health issues. Yeah, and either way, I don't see Bournemouth keeping clean sheets. Hopefully Neto gets well soon. Love the way you talk about balance. Well, because Bellingham, Foden, Rice, Palmer, Saka, Kane, it just feels too messy. It could work, but it reminds me a bit of 2006 when England forced the likes of Gerrard, Scholes, Lampard, and all these players, Beckham, all in the same team. Moyes leaving West Ham. Yeah, hopefully he's got something for me. Last game of the season. And only Kane's experienced. Yeah, but to be fair, Saka's played so much football his age. Well, even Foden as well. Bellingham is very mature. But yeah, especially Palmer, for example. He hasn't even played for England up until this point. Not in a competitive game. And it's a massive step up. Currently, I plan Saka to Bruno and may take a hit based on this week's score. Yeah, for Gameweek 37, that makes sense. But for Gameweek 38, I'd maybe reverse the move for free with Saka facing Everton at home. Pickford, Walker, Stones, Tomori, Trippier, Rice, Bellingham, Foden, Kane, Saka, player. It must be, yeah, player X. Yeah, that looks pretty good, to be fair. Can't really disagree with it too much. I personally think Ben White should be in the England squad, but he won't be. And White easily starts over Tomori. He could even start a right back, but yeah, I mean, with England, it's a good team, like you're saying there. Left winger is interesting. I mean, you could even play ex-player. Let's see, so you've got Rice, Bellingham. Okay, you've got Foden in the midfield. You could even play Foden on the left wing, and that's why people are trying to force Palmer in there, for example. But yeah, let's see. This could be England's year, but we always say that, don't we? And it doesn't really come to fruition. But I have to say, of all the times that people say football's coming home, I'd say this is the year I think it's most likely. We'll see how that pans out. Thank you to those for tuning in today. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to 200 likes and let's keep on pushing to new goals like 25k subscribers. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon. Championships Discord server, the FPL League, FPL Challenge, Drafthound, as well as Spotify and Amazon Music. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. It's been a pleasure talking to you for the last 3 hours. 3-hour stream. Iron Man Dylan, thank you very much. Thank you, Courage, as well. Now, Palmer's just too young for the Euros. Off the bench, yeah. Yeah, I think that's completely understandable. I don't disagree. And I also think Southgate will do the same thing and not start Palmer, which will aggravate a lot of people. But in that case, he might be right. Thank you, Lager, as always. Thank you, Weising. Nothing wrong with the screen, Wasif. It's an outro screen. It's what I typically use in my videos. It's not a mistake or glitch or anything. Don't worry, I'm going. It's been 3 hours. I'm not going to be here forever. Otherwise, you'll be sick to the death of me. Take care. Enjoy the football. I'll see you very soon. And I wish you all the best of luck for Gameweek 36.